by Caption.
I'm sorry?
Capturing a video with YouTube. I think I missed that session. So could you go over that for me a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the good news is that in order to caption a video in YouTube, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is upload the video to YouTube, and YouTube will caption it automatically, and at least 99.9% of the time. Only if the audio is extremely poor will YouTube fail to automatically caption a video. That's or if there's no soundtrack, if there's no dialogue, it won't have anything to caption. But normally within just anywhere from a few minutes to a couple of hours, videos uploaded to YouTube are automatically captioned. The automatic caption, yes, go ahead.
In order to caption the YouTube video, I would just have to, like you say, upload it.
Right, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to show you that.
Thank you very much.
Describing the process for you. You can edit the captions, and the automatic captions won't be perfect, but they'll be amazingly good. But you can edit them if you want to, and I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so let's pull up YouTube. In order to load your own video onto YouTube, of course, you have to have a YouTube account. If you have a Google account, that is, if you use Gmail or Google Docs or Google Translate or any of the Google services, you have a Google account, and since Google owns YouTube, you have a YouTube account as well. Should you not have a Google account, it's hard to get by without one these days, but should you not have a Google account, you can go to accounts.google.com, accountsplural.google.com, and I already have an account, so it's taken me to my account page. But if you don't have an account, if it doesn't detect that you're already logged into Google, it will give you the option to create a Google account on this page. And it's totally free, and you really probably not giving Google any information it doesn't already have from other sources anyway, so there's no real downside to making a free Google account. And once you do that, you have a YouTube account. When you first come into YouTube, let me log out here as me. Sign out, there we go. Let's continue. If you're either not logged into your Google account, or you don't have one, or you didn't have one before you started trying to use YouTube, and you go to YouTube, you'll see this option to sign in. And it will give you an option, option to log in with a username and a password. Your username will be the email address that you use to sign up for your Google account. And this computer knows too much about me already, and so does Google. So it knows who I am, so I can log in just by clicking on my name there. I do have to enter my password again. See if I can remember. It's been so long since I've logged out of Google. There we go. Okay, now I'm logged in. I know that because I see my little picture up here in the upper right-hand corner on YouTube. If you were just starting out, of course, you wouldn't have a profile picture up there. You'd just have a little silhouette. But it would work the same way. The presence or absence of a profile picture doesn't matter in terms of using YouTube. So I just click on, in order to, once I see this little circle up here in the upper right-hand corner, I know that I'm logged in with my Google account into YouTube. And to put a video onto YouTube is really simple. You've got this little icon here that's on almost every YouTube screen. That's a little camera with a plus sign in it, and it says create a video. So you just click on that little camera, and Google asks you if you want to either upload a video or go live. You can broadcast live on YouTube for free and send your friends the URL. It's kind of like a one-way Zoom. They can see and hear you, but they can't talk back. But normally what you're going to want to do is upload the video that you want to put onto YouTube. So you click that link, and YouTube asks you where that video is on your local hard drive. It starts the upload dance, as it were. So you just click select file and look for that video file on your hard drive. Can't tell you where that might be. Your videos tab is probably a good bet. I got to find something here that is not too big that I haven't uploaded to YouTube before, because YouTube doesn't like it when you try to upload the same video twice. It gives you a nasty little red message. Doesn't harm you in the long run. I don't think I've ever uploaded that one. I don't even know what it is. So I'll just click open. I can always delete it if I don't want it on YouTube. So I just click open, and boom, the upload process starts. And it's uploading in the background right now, but Google just wants a little information from us. Here's our, it wants a title for the video at minimum. We can also put in a description, an optional description, but the title it has to have. And by default, the title is just the file name of the video you're uploading. You usually want something better than that. Certainly with Zoom, if you're uploading a Zoom recording, you do not want to leave it as Zoom_0, because some people have gotten into trouble with that on YouTube by accidentally making those videos public, and they can be easily searched for. And sometimes it can result in people watching the video that you really didn't want to watch it. So give it a name. I'm going to just call this unknown video, since I really don't know what it is. And there it is. It's uploaded. Gee, I still don't know what it is. I'm intrigued. One thing, the only other thing you have to do on this first or details screen here, after giving it a title, is go down and tell YouTube that it's not made for kids. They've gotten into a lot of trouble with people pitching stuff at kids that shouldn't have been done on YouTube. So if you say, yes, it's made for kids, they're going to make you jump through a whole bunch of hoops before they let you activate or publish the video on YouTube. And by kids, they mean somebody younger than 13. So it's unlikely that any instructional videos that you're going to make are going to be intended solely for kids under 13. So you can just click no there, and then click next. On this next page, it says video elements. There's really nothing you have to do here. These are more esoteric features of YouTube that I don't ever use. And I've got literally hundreds of videos on YouTube. So I'll click next again. And I do have to tell YouTube the degree of visibility that this video should have. In other words, who can see it, who can play it. The two options that are going to make sense for you are public and unlisted. Private is way too restrictive for any kind of instructional video. Private is the setting you would use if you're putting your baby movies on YouTube, and it was intended only for a very select number of people to see that. And you knew who they were, and you knew what their Google account emails were, and so on. So that's not really especially useful for, or at all useful for sharing videos with students. You don't want to choose private. If the video is of general interest and you don't mind sharing it with the world, you can make it public. And that's a great thing to do. You'd be surprised what people will want to view. I put up a video many years ago, around 2007 or something like that, that had something to do with the Java interpreter in the Macintosh operating system, which is ironic because I've never owned a Macintosh. The last Apple computer I owned was in 1986. And but it was something to do, it happened to be something that gamers needed. It wasn't intended for that. It was intended to answer a question that a faculty member asked. But I put that video, I made it, I guess I inadvertently made it public. And the last time I looked at that video, it had been watched by 60,000 people over the years. So you just never know what people will find useful. This was something I had no idea anybody else would ever care about. So if you can make it public and you're not uncomfortable with it, there's no confidential information or anything like that. If it doesn't show students' names or faces or anything, and you want to make it public, great, because that's what makes YouTube such a wonderful source of information for so many people. But a more likely choice is unlisted. And this means that people can view it only if you give them the URL, if you give them the link, this video, the link to the video over here. They don't have to be logged into YouTube. They don't have to have a Google account. They just have to have that link. If it's a private video, they have to have a Google account. They have to be logged into it. And you have to have listed them specifically in order for them to view it. So that's not, again, that's not practical for instructional applications. But unlisted is one that will basically ensure that no one who's not supposed to see it will ever see it. But it's not a major hassle for you trying to figure out who might want to watch it. So if you, like if you were doing a Zoom recording with your class and you had student names and faces on it and so on, you'd make it unlisted for sure, because otherwise you'd be violating FERPA. You can even schedule a time to make it public. But unlisted is probably going to be your most common choice here. So then we just click save. And it's published. It's online. This was only a 32-second video, so that didn't take very long. It may take longer than that, especially if you're uploading something like a Zoom recording, which may be an hour or two, like the one I'm making right now.
Hey, how do we publish things? That's what I'm having a problem with. I can't get to where we publish.
Oh, it's published. That's it. That's all you have to do. The video is published.
How do we publish? How do we
I'm sorry?
publish? How do we
Publish
publish?
just means it's viewable online now.
Well, she says, how did you publish it? I'm not really sure.
I just went through that process and upload. I didn't specifically tell YouTube to publish it. It just did that automatically when I went through those 3 screens.
I think Carol wants to know, how does she get it on Canvas?
That's another
How
question.
do I publish it on Canvas?
She needs to know how to copy and paste the URL.
Right, I'll show you that in a minute. Because the first question we had was, how do you get it captioned? And this one won't be captioned yet, probably, because it takes a little bit longer. Let's check and see. I can just click on that video icon and then click here where it says view on YouTube, and I can look and see And no, there's no little closed caption symbol yet. So that video is not yet captioned. It soon will be. And I don't have to do anything to make that happen. YouTube will caption it automatically. Let me go back and look at the video I uploaded yesterday. That one's captioned by now. And I can just go and view it on YouTube. And loading the Zoom video communications app on your mobile device. Go to your app store, whichever one you may use. And there they are. They are generally very good. It's unlikely that they're going to need much in the way of editing. Generally, about all you end up doing if you edit these captions is putting in capital letters at the beginnings of sentences and periods at the end. And you can get away without doing that. But if you decide you want to edit the captions, you can either bring the video up like this to watch it, or I can go back to the details page for the video, which I got. This is just your list of all your videos that you've done, and YouTube dumps you into that automatically when you've uploaded something. And I can go to this to the details page for this video, which is the little pencil right to the right of it. And there's a link over here on the left for the subtitles. There are technical differences between subtitles and captions, but they don't mean much to you at this point in time, so don't worry about it. The subtitles and are the captions. You click that link, it does ask you to set the language, the default language for the video. And being very international, they don't list English US at the top anymore. They used to. And confirm that. Now, we've got an automatic English caption track here. Don't worry about this one. This allows you to add another group of captions that you've created offline. You're not going to do that. You're going to go to the automatic caption track, and you're going to click the little options menu out here at the right, the context menu, and there's an option to edit the captions on Classic Studio. They change their interface all the time. Classic Studio is the old video interface for creators in YouTube. They haven't gotten the caption editing functionality in the new one yet, so they're still dumping you back in the old one. So here's the video, and if you click, and its captions, and you'll see the captions if you click Edit. And there are your captions. And to edit the captions, you can edit the captions in these boxes right here. But of course, you have to know whether what you said is accurately depicted here or not. So you just play a little bit of the video. Loading. You know, I'm not sure that I'm sending audio. Let me kill this share a second and redo it, just to make sure I'm sending you the audio here. Yeah, I am. Okay. Just wanted to be sure of that. Sorry. The Zoom video communications app on your mobile device. Loading the Zoom video communications app on your mobile device. It's perfect. I could, if I wanted to spend the time, put a capital L there and a period there, and keep playing. Go to your app store, whichever one you may use. And there's another capital G. We can go through here. I'll probably find just one or two words that are not perfect. It's that good. So you don't really have to edit these captions in most cases. Let me put it this way. I can't give you carte blanche not to edit these captions. I can just tell you that I don't edit mine. And so far, nobody's raked me over the coals over it. And as I say, I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube, and I do 1 or 2 a day on average when I'm working, so, or more. So it's unlikely you're ever going to get raked over the coals over that. So we now have this video on YouTube. How do we get it into Canvas, and how do we make it possible for our students to see it? Okay, I need the that page that I had. Here's the video page for the one that I've just edited some captions on. Oh, and by the way, I should probably publish the edits there, since I did make a couple of useful changes. I might as well get the benefit of them. All right, now I'm going to go back, and let's say you have a video that you successfully uploaded to YouTube, and it's captioned itself. It's all ready to go. Now you want to share it with your students. How do you do that? Well, there's several different ways you can do that in Canvas. So let's pull up Canvas, and let me find a course where I can just play with Canvas here. Here's a sandbox I use that I can drop stuff in at random and so on and not mess it up. Let me make a new module here that is just a sample module for videos, just for example purposes. So I don't have to mess up modules that I've already created. So there's a nice empty module. So how can I share that YouTube video with my students in Canvas? Well, I can, maybe the easiest thing to do is just create an external URL or a web link in a Canvas module. I can just click the Add Item to Module button here to the right of the module, and I can select External URL. Then I just need the URL being Uniform Resource Locator. It's just the web address, the http:// stuff that appears up here at the top of your web browser. This is the URL for this particular page in Canvas, okay? So I need that, but for my YouTube video. Well, I can go to my YouTube video here, and I could just copy that URL right there, and that would work. But it's better really for a couple of reasons that I'm not going to go into, to use what's called the share URL for the YouTube video, which is different from this one for esoteric reasons that we don't need to worry about right now. To get that share URL for the video, I click I pull up the video, and I click share. And there's the share URL for that video. You can find it other places as well in the YouTube interface, but this is the one place you can always find it. And you can just copy that to your clipboard, either on the Mac or the PC, and then go back to Canvas. And that's what this box right here wants, is the share URL. And I can paste that in off the clipboard. And then I do have to give the link a name so that it will mean so that the students will know to click on it. So I'm just going to call this a video link from YouTube. Obviously, you would name it whatever the subject of your video was. And it's generally a good idea with video links to load them in a new tab. That means that the browser will open a new window and the student will see the video in that window rather than in the content frame within Canvas, which can cause problems. So when I've got all that set up, I just click Add Item. And in order to make it visible to the students, I have to publish it in the Canvas sense, which means make it visible to students. And that's what these little slash circles are for here in the module. That one publishes the module and everything in it. And then, of course, you got to make sure that the item within it is published as well. Otherwise, students wouldn't see it. So that's what publish means from a Canvas standpoint. Then a student could just come in and click on this, the name of this link, and OK opening a new window, and bada bing, there's that video on YouTube. Loading the Zoom video communication. And it works every time. But it's maybe not, go ahead, yes.
Dave, what if you can connect module with the page using hyperlink? Module and page, so we put something on page and you want them to connect.
Yeah,
the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to put it in a Canvas page. Okay.
Within the module. This is just the simplest way to do it and the quickest. But not the best, probably, because that link in the module is not especially, there it is. Keep moving my modules tool around. That's not real sexy looking. That's not going to suck the students in to watch that video. So another way to make your videos accessible to your students in Canvas is to add a Canvas page to a module instead of just adding the web link, the URL. Add a Canvas page, and I'll call this, this is going to be a new page, so I'll click New Page, and give it a name. I'll call this Video Page. Obviously, you'd call it something more meaningful in the context of your course. I'll click Add Item. That gives me an empty page in this module. I click on the name of it, and then I can edit the page in order to put something into it. I can change the name at this point if I liked. But now I can...
Good question, Dave. Can you make this page publishable at a later date or no?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You just don't publish it until you're ready.
Oh, okay.
No, I have a question about that. Can you delay the publishing so that it automatically publishes at 8 a.m. the next morning or something?
You can do that with an entire module, but you can't do it with an individual page.
Okay, because I was able to do, I could do it with a file and with an announcement, but not a page.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll look at that here in a second. I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, though. Yeah, I'm curious myself because normally you can delay the visibility of an entire module, and if you put this, if you made this, made it a module for this and only had this in the module, yes, definitely you can do that. But whether you can do it with a page itself, I don't think so. But we'll look.
Okay, thank you.
But first, let's get the video in here. If you're going to bother to do this way, you're going to want to do what's called a video embed, E-M-B-E-D, embed, which is a lot sexier looking. And here's how you do that. There's actually a couple of ways to do that too. Don't you hate it when there are too many options? But all the ways involve using this Insert Edit Media tool, which is part of the rich content editor in Canvas. You see this a lot in Canvas. And it's the second tool from the left in the second toolbar. That's how I remember it. And to embed the video, the best thing to do is go to the Embed tab in this box. You got general, embed, and advanced. And you know if you have to click on something labeled advanced, you're in trouble. But we don't have to. We can just click on embed. Then I can go back to YouTube where that video is, and I can click the share button again. And there's a link here labeled embed. And I just click that, and I get what's called an embed code. And at this point, of course, people's eyes start migrating over into one socket and things like that. This looks like programming code, and it is. It's HTML, hypertext markup language, but you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is click this button down here marked copy, and that what you need is copied onto your clipboard automatically. Then you go back to Canvas and you just paste what you just copied into this embed box here and click OK. And then you get something that looks much cooler. It's got a frame from the video, and it's got a play button. The student wants to play it, they can just click right on it, click on the play button. Loading the Zoom Video Communications app. They can play it right here, and if they don't need to make it any bigger, that's fine. But if they need to, they can full screen it. Mobile device. So they can see it better. Go to your app store, whichever one you may use.
Dave?
I just press, yes. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Here I want to know the difference between pasting the embed code under embed versus the pasting the share URL when you go under the like a general and then source and pasting it there.
Like right here?
Right. Like the other one is
yeah.
like go general and then
the
you
difference,
paste it. Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
That's a really good question. The difference is very subtle. You get a slightly bigger embed automatically if you do it this way. Do it the way I just showed you.
Mm-hmm. Embedding. Oh.
And you have a little bit more control over where the video displays on the screen and how big it is and so on. But in practical terms, it really doesn't make much difference. It'll work either way.
Yeah, I couldn't see the difference. Okay.
One thing you can do here, though, that you can't do if you just paste the share URL in this source box under the General tab,
mm-hmm.
is you can't go in. Let me delete this and put it back in again. Go to the Embed tab and paste that in again.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a trick you can do if you do it this way that you can't do the other way you mentioned. You can go right to the end of the URL. You can see the video URL in this code here. Mm-hmm. This is src equals quote, and then there's the URL with an embed, the word embed and inside it. And if you follow it on down, you'll see that there's a quotation mark right at the end. Mm-hmm. And then some other code continues. It starts frame border and so on. These are just instructions to Canvas on how to display this that you don't need to worry about. But it's really cool to be able to go right to the end of this URL here and type a question mark, the letters, lowercase letters R-E-L, an equal sign, and a 0. And I've got a tutorial for this. This is something you can't do if you don't use the embed code. Now if I click OK, and you may have noticed a minute ago when I was playing this that when I played it for a second, loading the Zoom video, and then stopped it, a bunch of suggested videos popped up.
Oh, I see.
That's what.
Oh, that's a beauty.
Question
yeah,
mark
that's
REL equals 0 prevents that from happening.
Question mark REL equal to 0 right before the end
Correct.
of the quotation. Oh,
Correct.
That's great. Yeah, I was bothered by that.
Yeah, it's irritating. And it also, if you get to the end of the video here, that's the dog that was barking earlier. If you get to the end of the video, all too often YouTube will pop up several suggested videos
Right,
that
right.
usually have nothing to do with what your video has to do with.
Uh-huh.
And it may have quite unpleasant videos for your students to have them pushed at. So that will prevent that from happening too. So that's a really good reason to use the Embed tab in the Insert Edit Media box instead of just pasting the share URL into the source box.
The
Cool.
REL you said is equals 0 what?
Yeah, I tell you what, let me, I've got a tutorial for that.
Okay.
Let me give you the link for that, and it will run right through what I just did, and you can play it over again, and it will,
Okay.
and let me find that for you. And I want to mention this site anyway. Let's see, it's usually here somewhere. Nope. Oh, there it is. Site is sdccdolvid.org. It's our open on-demand tutorial site that anybody can view. All these videos are set to public view, or, well, this is a public website. They can access it. And let me put that URL in the chat tool for you. Remember, you can save that chat tool. On-demand tutorial site. Send that to everybody.
Could I ask a related question?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming that both of these methods take up a lot more space than if you just use the little chain to put the link in that they can then click on and it takes them to the YouTube site?
That's an excellent question, but the answer is no. It really doesn't use much of any extra space, because when I embed that video in Canvas, quote unquote, all I'm doing is creating a sexy link to it. The video itself is still on YouTube. The video is not loaded into Canvas. And I'm really glad you asked that question. It's still on YouTube. This is just, you know, I might use a few more bytes because you've got this graphic here, but it's really still just a link, and the extra space is trivial that it would use.
So this will take the students to YouTube so they can view it.
Well, it will play the video, but it'll play it inside this embed. So the students don't get all the YouTube advertising, the distractions and all that. So that's the beauty. If you use that link, let me save this so I don't lose it. If they use this link that I just put in the module here, that's going to take them to YouTube. And they got all this distracting stuff over here. Communications. Some of it might be useful, but hey, you know, what does he have to do with Zoom video communications? He wouldn't know. I'm not going to go there, okay? We don't need to get into politics. But this stuff over here, you know, Jane Fonda, really, what does that have to do with your instructional video? Nothing. You don't want your students distracted with this. By embedding this into Canvas, into a Canvas page, you miss all of that. And if you do that little trick with the question mark REL equals 0 and the embed code, you won't even get those cheesy suggested videos popping up. You know, that's just YouTube going for clickbait, so that your students will get dragged off down a rabbit hole somewhere and not get their work done, and YouTube will make a little bit of money, or Google will make a little bit of money out of it. You don't have to allow them to do that if you embed the video this way, and it doesn't really use any more space in your Canvas course than just putting that simple web link in.
Wish I'd known that before I put in 200 links for the music class.
I'm sorry.
They're all, it's a intro to music class, so everything has, that I would play in class is now on YouTube links. And
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
working my tail off, but they're all the regular chain links.
Oh, boy. Sorry.
That's, it's all about learning.
Exactly. Next time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Oh,
not
that's
done
cool.
yet, so I could switch to this method.
You can switch to that and try not to confuse them, right? Well, that's fascinating that you're doing that, though. It's wonderful. Have you gotten any feedback from YouTube about posting copyrighted audio?
I haven't gotten any feedback anywhere. I mean,
Oh,
even the
good.
students aren't, well, but it's a very quiet group, so
Yeah. Yeah, I empathize. No, I'm just curious because I uploaded something the other day for a faculty member. He wanted a video captioned, and it was a copyrighted video. And don't make that mistake. Don't upload copyrighted video to YouTube.
I don't have my own YouTube account. I'm, going to YouTube looking for something and then just taking.
Oh, right. So someone else has gotten a copyright strike. But if you are uploading, when you're uploading video to YouTube, don't upload anything that's copyrighted. Well, by that I mean it's something that's commercial. Any video you create is automatically copyrighted, and you own the copyright. But don't upload something like an episode of Grey's Anatomy or something like that you ripped off your Roku or something, because YouTube will catch it, and they'll put you on probation for doing it. Ask me how I know that.
Dave,
90 days. Yes.
Dave, I have a media-related question. I had a student ask me today if I could take the Zoom recordings and put them where the students can access them.
Yes, absolutely.
Would I do it in the same way?
Yeah, in exactly the same way that we've, I walked you through the process of uploading a video to YouTube and so on. Where are your YouTube, where are your Zoom recordings?
I think they're in some cloud.
They're in the Zoom cloud. Okay.
Some cloud. I don't know if it's a Zoom cloud.
Yeah, they got to be the Zoom cloud. So I'll show you how to find those. Let me make sure I've answered the questions about YouTube and about putting the video into Canvas and making it visible to the students before I move on to talking about the Zoom cloud. Any more questions about this?
You did a good job there.
Oh,
one related question. I think I used to know how to get just a regular picture into a page where I have a lot of text, but I'm trying to get one from my own files. And I keep getting the regular media things that ask for a URL, but I forgot how to just get a regular old picture and get it in there.
Regular old picture into a Canvas page.
Yeah.
Okay, let's edit this page. And you got to have your cursor, your edit cursor, where you want the picture to appear.
Right.
And the icon you need is this one right here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one over from the left.
I tried that.
It says embed image, and you click on that. And the first thing it asks you for, and this is silly, it asks you for a URL. It assumes you're going to just pull in a picture off the web that you know the exact URL for, which is hard to find. I don't know why they make this the default. What you want is the second tab that says Canvas.
Yeah, I tried that.
And you got to tell it that you want to put it, almost certainly you want to put it in the course files.
Right.
Which is your file manager within the course, so your file space within the course. So you click on course files, and then this little button here labeled upload file lights up. So you click on that button, and it brings up a file find dialog box. You go to wherever you have your pictures stored. There's some pretty little flowers. You select the picture you want to upload and click open.
Okay, now I'm home free.
Okay, and then you do put in your alt text just to make that so that somebody using a screen reader will know that that's a picture of flowers. And then you click update and the picture just appears.
Perfect.
And you can move it around and so on. That answered that question then.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Zoom cloud then. Let's say because I'll take questions on not just Canvas, but Zoom or anything else as well. Yes.
Can I ask one quick question? So my page delay publish, because I'm going to have to go.
Oh, right,
can
right.
Can I email that to you? Because I know you might have to do a little research.
Let's take a look at that. No,
well, I don't.
We can tell.
Okay.
We can tell pretty quickly.
Okay.
Let me go to the module. And there's that page. And if I had that capability, it should be here. You see, there is no way to change that. With like the module itself, I have the option to edit the module. Oh, wait a minute. Let me edit. Let's go to edit the page.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, there's no option here to delay display.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
With the module itself, and if I go to edit it, I've got a lock until that I can check, and then I can set and say I don't want that module appearing until tomorrow to students.
Right.
Until tomorrow at a certain time. And that will automatically then become visible to students. But I don't have that for an individual file. So what I would have to do, the only way I know to do this would be to make a module with just
the thing I want to delay. Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And that would work.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything because I could delay numerous things. Could not figure out how to do that one. All right. Thank you very much.
I don't think there is a way, but I will look. I'll look that up. And make sure that I'm right.
Perfect.
Because I learn something new about Canvas in these sessions every time. You bet. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for reminding me on that. Please.
No problem. No.
So Dave, before we do the Zoom download, one of my students was concerned about privacy. But when we put this into our Canvas shell, nobody else can look at it except our students, right?
Only your students.
Okay. All right. I just needed to make sure of that.
It is not publicly available unless you allow someone into your Canvas course. No one else can see it. And that's a legitimate question because otherwise anything with student names and images would be a FERPA violation. So that's important. Yes.
This is Tessie Mona. I sent you a chat, but I guess I better try to talk up like everybody else is talking up. I really have a problem because I just got my syllabus and stuff to get started with my module for my certification to teach online. And
good.
So I just, in the training orientation, it said introduction to the icebreaker. I did my picture. I did my portfolio. I did the portfolio. Where do I go from there? Because then it says I need to make an assignment. No, it says the first activity you will write a brief self-introduction, which I thought was the portfolio. Is that true?
No, that's not part of the portfolio. I'd have to look into your specific location in that course. Why don't you send me an email with that, with your username, your Canvas username, your 10-digit ID, and where you are in that training course, and I'll go in and look, and I'll see if I can figure out why it's not letting you move on.
I'm actually on my Canvas page, and I'm looking at the profile, my account, and all this stuff, and it says Tessie Bonner contact, and they got the geography, and I was talking on the helpline the other day, and the guy had me filling out stuff, but I don't know, because we don't really have a class right now. Our class is canceled, and I don't know.
Oh.
I'm kind of like lost, but he was telling me to put in there, like I put in the.
Well, yeah, send me that email and I'll take a look into it for you. We'll get you sorted out one way or the other. We'll find out what's happening anyway. Okay, and my email's in the chat tool again there. You should be able to scroll back up and find it. All right. Yeah, and when you have a question, just speak up. I'll get to everybody.
May I ask you a question?
Yep, and then I'm going to go to the Zoom cloud because we have that one in progress. Yes.
Okay, I have given tests, not 100% successfully, and given assignments. And
Okay.
I have to grade them. I'm going to have to research how to grade them. I know they graded the multiple choice, but I have to go in and grade the written. But the problem is, I'd like to eliminate those things from the screens, and it tells me that I can't delete any of those assignments.
Not if people have submitted them.
So are they going to be stuck there for the entire semester, or?
If somebody has submitted them, yes. It won't
Well,
let
then
you
how do-
delete an assignment that has had submissions.
Okay, but
if
how do
nobody
I-
has submitted it, you can delete it.
Well, I understand that, but do you understand my dilemma? The kids go there and some of them are so clever as to resubmit that assignment over and over and over again because they, you know what I'm saying? They're confused.
Yeah, it doesn't, they don't have to be clever to do that. It gives them a big button that says resubmit assignment. And you can make that assignment, you can make it so they can't get back into that assignment. You can't delete it, but you can fix it so they can't get back into it.
Well, how can I do that?
Okay, that's going to be, as soon you hold that thought, as soon as we get through with the Zoom cloud, I will go in and I'll show you how to do that.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
All righty, you bet. No, we'll get everybody's questions answered. I'm not going anywhere until you run out of questions for today anyway. Okay, the Zoom cloud. If you record your session in Zoom and upload it to the quote cloud unquote, what it's doing is going to the servers at Zoom and it's stored there. And that's a perfectly valid thing to do, except that, all that neat stuff we were just able to do with YouTube where we embedded the video and you could make it look sexy and all that and so on. You can't do that if it's in the Zoom cloud. If it's in the Zoom cloud, your limits for displaying it to your students are limited. But let's first go and find where things are in the Zoom cloud. And you can get to your Zoom cloud by opening up a web browser and typing zoom.us on the address line at the top there. Well, that's right, that won't expand that, will it? Shoot. Zoom.us. Press enter. You go to Zoom, the Zoom homepage. Let me log out here so to show you exactly how this works. I was already logged in preparation for questions about Zoom today. Okay, this is the Zoom homepage. There's a little link here that says sign in. I know it's a little hard to see. That one I think I can expand. Yeah, see right there, it says sign in. Click on that and enter the email address associated with I assume it's your Confer Zoom account, the one that the State Chancellor's Office gave you through Confer Zoom, and then the password to that account, and then just click sign in. Your recordings are right here in the recordings link on the left. I've just got a few up there because I usually use YouTube instead. So these are your Zoom recordings that you've uploaded to the Zoom cloud. You should be able to tell which one is which by the dates and times. Or you can just click on it and play a little bit of it and figure it out. There is assuming you want to make this visible to your students, you can click this button marked share here. It's kind of like the share button in YouTube. And it gives you a link to that video. And you can copy that to your clipboard the usual way. And then you can go back to Canvas and you can add a web link, an external URL. You can paste that URL that I just copied into the URL boxes, same thing we did for YouTube. Give it a name. This is a Zoom recording from the Zoom cloud. It's critical, if you're doing this from the Zoom cloud, that you load this in a new tab. If you don't, it will not play. A YouTube video would play, but it would just look funny. This one won't play at all. So be sure to click or check load in a new tab, and then click add item. Now, if your student wants to view that video, all they have to do is click on that link and OK, opening up a new window in Chrome anyway, and there's the video. And it plays fine. And it will be captioned almost as well as YouTube. And up it goes. We're now recording. And welcome to today's seminar on grading in Canvas. Once your students take their assessments and their grades or their attempts start showing up at the grade book, how do you deal with them? How do you deal with the grade book? How do you get the grade book to compute your grades? And so on. All these things are things that we'll cover today. I've got an outline. The performance is generally not as good as YouTube because Zoom is a tiny little company. It's just a little place up in just outside of LA. It's been around since 2011. They've had an actual product since about 2013. And YouTube is Google. The second or third biggest company in the world, period. At least in terms of market cap. So it is, there's no comparison in the size of the organizations, and YouTube's resources are vastly greater. So YouTube just generally works a little better. I have my doubts about the Zoom cloud and its viability over the long term here with the number of people that are using it. And another thing, you have a limit of 1 gigabyte of storage on the Zoom cloud, which sounds like a lot. That's 1,000 megabytes, but you can use that up if you put a lot of Zoom recordings on it, you can use that up. YouTube can't use it up. Your availability, you can put as many videos on YouTube as you can make, and they will stay there indefinitely. And no website is completely, no web service is completely perfect. But I got to tell you, it's going to be, if YouTube goes down, then the apocalypse has come, and we have lots of other concerns other than whether our Zoom recordings are visible to students. We'll be fighting off cannibals at our front door. So YouTube is a is a safer bet from my standpoint, but the Zoom Cloud works fine. You know, I love Zoom. I love the company. I love the product. I've been one of their users for a long time now, seven or so years. I started using Zoom when it was just a public beta and free. And I've always advocated for it, but I have my concerns about the Zoom Cloud. This is just not their strength. So I like to keep my videos on YouTube. That's kind of just a personal thing as much as anything else.
Question
I
there.
don't like the cloud, period.
I'm sorry?
I said, I don't like cloud, period.
Well, of course, YouTube's part of the cloud too, but it's a part of the cloud I have a lot more confidence in. And I know that my videos are of very little consequence to Google, so that I don't have to worry about them stealing them or anything like that. Yes, ma'am.
Dave, question.
Yes.
Can they be deleted, the Zoom videos?
Yes. Under
So
the
then
more
we'll
link
delete
here,
them.
under the more link, you have a delete option.
Oh,
Okay.
So if you're
But
just
you
doing,
can, yes. Mm-hmm.
you're just doing it for 2 classes for 1 semester, it won't fill up, will it? 6 hours a week times 16.
Okay, you have a gigabyte of storage, right? Which is 1,000 megabytes. I'm sorry, 1,000,000
Okay.
megabytes. Pardon me.
I'll accept that.
1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte is 1,000,000 megabytes.
Okay.
But this is almost 1,000 megabytes. So yeah, you can probably, you're not likely to run out in a couple of semesters. You're right. Though that can add up and hurry. That is a gigabyte. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes.
A gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes.
Yeah.
If you delete them all at
That's
the end.
pretty close to it already.
Yeah. If you delete them
So-
all at the end of the semester, then you're okay.
So you could hit you could hit the wall fairly quickly. That's 1 Zoom recording. I don't know how rigidly they're enforcing this at the present time, but you could run out of space on the Zoom Cloud. And then you'd have to delete it or download it to keep a copy of it. And if you download it, you can move it over to YouTube if you like, using the process that I showed you earlier. As a matter of fact, I've got a tutorial on that on-demand video site that specifically shows you how to download a video that is stored on the Zoom Cloud and then put it up onto YouTube instead. And even the folks at CCC Confer, who provide you with a Zoom account, recommend to not leave your videos indefinitely in the Zoom Cloud, but to download them and put them somewhere else for safekeeping. So I just have my concerns. So I just use YouTube and use the process that I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
If you record your Zoom sessions to your local computer, which is an option when you're recording Zoom, you will find those videos in your Documents folder on the PC or the Mac in a folder called Zoom. And let me go to the one I did Friday. That's Friday, 4/10. There's the Zoom, there's the video recording from that session on Friday, which I have not yet uploaded, I don't think. And now I can just do that same process that I showed you earlier of uploading a video to YouTube. and it'll be on YouTube. So the process of putting it on YouTube is really, it's a little bit more work than putting it into the Zoom cloud. But in the long term, I think it's probably safer. And you get if you put the recordings in the Zoom cloud, the most your students are ever going to be able to do is click on a link in Canvas to get into it. You're never going to be able to make that nice embed that we saw with the YouTube video.
But
yes.
If you put it into YouTube, does it have the same privacy? Didn't we talk about privacy a little bit ago?
Yeah, indeed, it does. As long as you make it unlisted.
Unlisted.
In YouTube.
Okay.
As long as you set the visibility in YouTube to unlisted, you have basically the same privacy that you would have in the Zoom cloud.
All right. And how do you get it, instead of recording to the Zoom cloud, how do I tell it to record to my computer?
Local computer? Good question. Unfortunately, it's one I can't show you the answer to because Zoom doesn't send the Zoom menus over. But let me kill my share for a second. And you have, let's see. No, you won't have you won't have a record button right now. In the Zoom menu at the bottom of the screen, under normal circumstances, you would have a record button. Now, I've got it set so that I'm the only one who can record this, and I'm doing so. But there's a little record button, and if you click on that record button, you should get an option to either record to the local computer or record to the Zoom cloud.
Oh.
If for any reason you don't see that option, that means that that option's not turned on in your Zoom menus, your Zoom settings. And you can fix that by going to your Zoom account that I showed you earlier. Just go to zoom.us and log in. And there's a settings tab here. And that, this a long line of settings. You don't have to go through the whole thing. But fairly quickly, you can find, you can, right up at the top of the screen, you'll see settings for recordings. Excuse me. And there's an option to allow local recording, which may be turned off. And just turn it on. Just click on that little symbol and it will ask you, should I turn it on? You say yes. At that point, when you click record, you'll have the option to record either to the local computer or to the cloud. And you can select that at the time based on your mood at the moment. And how high, what they call your P scale is. A clinical term for how paranoid we are.
For me, it's patience.
You bet. Okay.
I have a question, please.
Pardon?
I have a question.
Yes, good.
So I'm all new with this. Where do I go to delete Zoom meetings in Zoom? At
the Zoom cloud?
Yeah. No, the Zoom page. When I open, I mean, how do I delete? How would I delete the Zoom meetings if I want to delete?
Zoom meeting recording or a scheduled Zoom meeting that hasn't happened yet? Scheduled Zoom meeting. Go to the meetings tab.
Okay.
And you'll see any meetings that you have scheduled right here.
Okay.
I don't have any scheduled. When I start a meeting, I just go in and start it. And
no, what I mean is, I think you misunderstood me. I'm saying the ones that I'm already finished with, that I don't need anymore, let's say.
Oh, they should be gone. They should be gone.
Make more space.
Well, just the meeting notification or the meeting schedule blank doesn't take up any space. The only thing that takes up space are the recordings. And if you want to get rid of, okay, so, and you probably don't want to get rid of the recordings. You want to keep those. They might come in handy down the line somewhere. What you can do if you are running out of space here is you can, you can click this more button here opposite the recording, and you can download the files to your local hard drive, and then you can delete them. That way, if you ever need that recording again, you can put it up on YouTube and share it with your students.
Dave.
Yes.
Once you upload it into the YouTube, you could just delete in your hard disk, right?
You could, but most hard disks now are so large that these files are trivial in size. Okay. Yeah, let me show you something. You saw how many Zoom videos I had on there, right?
Right.
Let's see. Whoop. Where'd that go? There it is. Hiding from me. Sorry. I had quite a few. Dozens of them. Let me show you how much space I have on my hard drive. The little blue segment represents how much space I've used on this hard drive. And I've had this machine for over 2 years now, and I've barely scratched the surface. This machine has a 2 terabyte hard drive on it, which is not exceptional by current standards. Even laptops have gigantic hard drives on them now. So the chances of these videos using up any significant amount of your local hard drive is pretty low. So you probably don't have to worry about that. But should you have to worry about it, you could always just copy these things off, these folders here, off onto a big thumb drive or an external hard drive and back them up and then delete them. But it's unlikely to become an issue unless you have a very old computer, which has a much smaller than standard hard drive now. Right. I haven't seen anything with less than a terabyte of hard drive in quite some time. Okay. Good question.
One last question, Dave. I'm sorry, I have questions.
Oh no, keep going. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. So if I'm not recording, then I will not be running out of space, right?
No, not anytime soon. Recording to the Zoom cloud, there's some possibility you might run out of space. But recording to your local computer, you'll probably never run out of space. And in terms of YouTube, you can't run out of space. They'll just keep giving you more.
Okay.
There are people who literally have thousands of videos on YouTube.
Is there any way you can name these other than by their date?
You name these folders?
Yes.
Well, you could rename the folders if you wanted to.
Okay.
You just right click or control click on them and select rename. And that wouldn't hurt anything. So you could rename them, this was my class meeting on so-and-so, and we covered you could give it a more meaningful name.
Yeah.
Because this just says this is, has the name of the user and who this says that it was done in my personal meeting room. I knew that already, and so on. So yeah, renaming that wouldn't hurt anything. It's not going to stop anything from working.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I have 2 questions. You're gonna run a Zoom security on this Wednesday, right? Like you're gonna show us how to add a password for the security, right? That's gonna be on Wednesday. So I'll join you. But I have a question about the testing in Canvas. I given the test to the class on last Wednesday, and several students were kind of running out of time. So in the middle of the class taking the exam, I kind of stumble through, giving a extended time. So could I do it like through, I put it on the question on the chat, like do it by the moderate exam? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Do you mind showing a brief review?
Absolutely not. And I also have a question on the floor. It just occurred to me. How do we grade a Canvas test if we've got essay questions, for instance, in it? So I haven't forgotten that one. So let's go talk about Canvas tests for a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Just, I knew it was there somewhere. Okay, I shan't forget you. Though if I do, remind me. Trust me, it's nothing new for me. I think I remember what I had for breakfast. So it's not like you're going to be informing me that my memory is not what it once was. Not that it was ever very good. So don't hesitate to remind me if I seem to be moving off at a tangent here and you're been sitting there waiting for something I promised. Okay, quizzes. But I need another course here that actually has some quizzes in it. That should do. First question, to give people more time on a quiz. There's a couple of things you can do. You have to go to the quiz and you have to edit it. One of the options anyway. Students have already taken this, so be careful about editing it, but I still think it will allow you to change your due dates and I'm sorry, excuse me. That's not what we're doing. To change the time limit. In this case, add a time limit to it. There wasn't one before. Let's see if it'll let me save that. I think it will. Yeah. So you can always go in and just change the time limit on the test. And that takes care of everybody who hasn't taken it yet. That's a little rough on the ones who have taken it. But the only thing you could do for them would be to give them another attempt after you change the time limit. And to do that, you would go to moderate the quiz you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And this you have to do, unfortunately, you have to do, well, actually, that's not true. You could go back to the quiz itself, come to think of it, and edit it. And you could just give everybody another more attempts. You could allow multiple attempts, and you could change it to 2. And I believe it'll let me save that. You said. There we go. Okay, so you could just give everybody another attempt.
I just want to give, like, before this closing, like if I want to give like a 20 more minutes to the whole class.
Okay. To give the whole class 20 more minutes, you'd have to change the time limit.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't give that to the ones who have already submitted an attempt. They can't reopen that attempt and take it again and continue in that attempt for another 20 minutes. They'd have to start from scratch and take the test over again and have more time. There's just no way you can do that. So that's the simplest way to do it. If you only want to give 1 or 2 students extra time before they take the test, you go to, let me save this. That's where you go to moderate the quiz. And this you have to do student by student. You can't just say give everybody an extra 20 minutes. You have to go student by student and give extra time.
Can you do this in the edit by just assigning the quiz where it's, instead of saying everyone, you just name a particular student and extend the time for that student?
Nope. You can't do that. The time limit is not one of the things you can change there. This is the only place you can change the time limit for individual students. It's either, if you're editing the quiz,
You go to edit, and what does the everyone mean then?
that means that this block here, the assign to block, gives you the option to give a student access to the test outside of the original availability dates. But it doesn't affect the time limit up here.
So
you can't give one student an extra 20 minutes on the quiz using this tool here. This only impacts when the students can see the test, when the due date is, when they can see it, and when they can't see it any longer. But in terms of the time limit, you have to change that under moderate the quiz.
Okay.
Or change it for everyone at the same time.
Well,
But if you do that, of course, you give everybody who's not taken the quiz yet an advantage over the ones who had taken it before that. So that's going to be problematic.
By the way, along these lines, can people, if you say that you want to make the correct answers visible,
yes,
does that apply to everyone, even students who have not taken it yet?
No. The students who have not taken it will not see anything until they take it.
Okay.
The students who have taken the test will be able to see the correct answers.
Good. Thank you.
If you check that option.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and nothing will allow students who have not taken the test to see it. The only way they can see it is click the button that says take the test, and then their attempt is in progress and you know they've taken it. So they can't, there's no way they can see any answers until they submit the test, and then that attempt is done. Now, of course, if you give them multiple attempts, they can go back and look at their answers on the first attempt, probably. But that's why you generally don't give multiple attempts on a test, unless you have to. Yes?
Dave, instead of using the word everyone, I took a subgroup of my class and gave them test form A. Then I went in with test form B and used the subgroup of kids instead of everyone, and then went in with test 3, and I gave them each their own individual, what do you call it, password. So that if I was taking group A, I had to have the password for A.
Right.
So I couldn't switch groups, in other words.
You created student groups in Canvas and assigned the test to a particular group. Right. Yes, you can do that.
See, my mess is that unfortunately, at the time that I assigned the wonderful passwords, PeopleSoft, I sent them through emails at PeopleSoft, and PeopleSoft was down.
Oh, great.
So I was totally unaware until the next morning when my computer sounded like a ping machine.
All the messages coming in.
So, how shall I say, it was not a very pleasant experience, but you learned from everything. So the next day I gave a retest.
Right.
And I made sure then I sent my information to them through my Outlook account and had no problems with that. But
or you can send them messages through Canvas as well.
I don't know how to do that, so I don't know how to do that.
Well, that's something we can cover. But we still have an issue on the table, however, about grading tests in Canvas.
Yes, grading is a big deal.
Okay, let me find a test here that's a good example for that. Let's see, I'm in, okay, I know which course I'm in now. I can go to the quizzes tool just so I can see my quizzes. And this one, This one has an essay question now. And it's still available to students and so on. So I can go in just to see what I'm talking about here. Let's go in as my test student. It's always a good idea, especially the first few times you create a test in Canvas, to check it out in student view to make sure it's working the way you think it is. You do that by clicking on the home link in your Canvas course and clicking on the student view link in the right-hand task menu. Click student view. And now you're actually functioning as a real test student. You can take tests, submit assignments, participate in discussions, anything that a real student could do, until you click Leave Student View.
About that, yesterday I
yes.
tried to do that, Dave, and it said that I couldn't take the test until it was published.
Right.
So that means I have to open that sucker.
Yes, you do, at least temporarily. Because this is a real student, in effect. If you have the test locked to students, this student won't be able to see it either, which is another way to verify that your students are seeing what you think they're seeing. If you go in as your test student and you can't see the test, then your real students can't see the test either.
Well, why don't you preview it?
You can preview it, but that doesn't show you really show you what the students see.
It doesn't.
This is the only way to see exactly what your students are seeing.
Okay, thank you.
And to do that, you would have to publish the test briefly.
Okay. Around midnight.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Though, strangely enough, you may actually have more activity in your class at midnight than you do at 8 a.m. So 8 a.m., maybe 6 a.m.
I was just thinking that. They'll be up at midnight checking stuff.
That's right. So maybe midnight's not the best bet. Yes.
To get around that, just set up your exam with a code. Use the code to get in it. The students won't have the code.
That's a really good idea.
That's what I do.
Indeed, just temporarily set a password on it. That's an excellent idea.
And
that will
don't put
also
a date.
verify that. That's
And
a
don't
great
put a
idea.
date.
Yeah, and don't make it available to.
Okay.
Okay, so here's that quiz. So I'm going to go in, and the student has not taken the quiz yet. So this is what the students see when they take your quiz. They see that button, click on it, and which if whoops, I have a problem with the word "the" for some reason. Which it can be created. I'm just going to tree this. That's all of the above. That's an interesting statistic, however, and I pulled that somewhere from a reference site. That's true, or it's been shown in studies to be true, that 80% of students who have seen a video in the last 30 days remember what the video was about.
What kind of video?
Any kind of video.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they probably remember what those kind of videos are about too. I hear that laugh. But even an instructional video, okay, it's intended to be instructional, they'll remember for 30 days. How many of them remember something they've read 30 days ago? Think about it. Video is a powerful educational tool. But here, these two questions were objective questions. Canvas can grade those because when you created the test, you told Canvas what the right answer was to each of those questions.
Right.
This one is an essay question or a short answer, whatever. Canvas can't grade that. Thank God. Canvas gets to the point where it can grade that, they're not going to need us anymore. So let's hope that doesn't happen in our working lifetimes anyway. What do we mean when we talk about flips? Well, the shortest possible answer for this is lecture online homework
In class.
We'll put homework in quotes. Okay, that's about the shortest way I can think of to answer that. 5 words, that was fairly, okay, so I've answered all the questions and I submit the quiz. The student gets a receipt that says, okay, we got it. And it also warns them some questions are not yet graded. So they got, I got 2 of those right. I got 4 out of 10 on that quiz, but it's starred, indicating that some questions are not yet graded by the instructor. Apparently I was in a really good mood when I created this quiz, and I let the students have unlimited attempts. So the student could just keep taking it until they get it all right, which was the point in this case. But normally you wouldn't do that, obviously. So
Did you
now,
say this
how
was
do
an essay question?
I'm sorry?
Was this an essay question? You let them take many attempts?
This was a flex course. And my students were you all. It was a course on screencasting. And we used to run it online back when I was actually employed. And people could get flex credit by taking the course and completing the assignments and so on. But it was the rule, you've heard of pass fail. Well, this was pass, try again until you get it right. And you could just keep going until you got everything right, and then you pass the course. You could try it as many times as you like, which is actually not a terrible instructional model if you've got people who are actually interested in learning something.
Right.
So I was able to do that with faculty. I don't know that I'd try that in the general student population. Yes. Sounded like a question starting up there.
So we're going to grade this.
Now we're going to grade this puppy. Well, we're going to go, the most straightforward way to do that is to go to the grade book. Except if I go to grades, now I'm the student, so I see the student's grades. I forgot to leave student view and become myself again. Okay, and now here's my grade book. That's okay. That illustrates the fact that the students do not see your grade book, even when they click on grades here. They see their grades. They don't see everybody else's, which wouldn't be a good thing if they did. Okay, now I have to find that quiz. Here's the why screencasting quiz. And here is a little symbol. That's my test student. Remember I said that student was in effect, a real student. The student even has a row in the grade book, like any other student. That's you when you click on student view. So better hope we pass this. The reason that you see a little symbol here instead of a number is because Canvas can't grade that essay question. Normally with a quiz, you would just see the numbers, like on that one. There, that one was just showed up as a number because that quiz has only objective questions in it that Canvas can grade. But if it doesn't, you'll see this little attempt symbol. It says there's something here waiting to be graded. So you click on that symbol and you see what the students earned so far when you do that. But obviously they have a potential to get many more points than that out of the questions that you have to grade. So you click the right arrow to take you to the speed grader, which is the grading interface in Canvas. You can use the speed grader to grade homework assignments, gradable discussions, or tests that contain essay questions or other types of questions that require human intervention to grade them. So you click on the speed grader link, and this is how you see the students' test that they submitted. You can see how they did on the objective questions. Pretty good in this case. But then here's the essay question. So you look at the answer. You can even have a rubric for this answer if you like. And
Okay.
that's pretty good. It's out of 6
Awesome.
points. I might have, you know, they could have been a little more verbose, so I'll give them a 5 out of 6 on that. And then update the score so that the score is recorded in the grade book correctly. You can give comments just like you can on homework assignments or discussions. You can attach a file that has feedback or a little video, or I love this, if you're in Chrome, you can do this. Almost perfect, but I would have liked to have seen just a little more verbiage to get full credit. Kind of cool, huh?
Interesting.
That only works if you're in Chrome, because Chrome has a text or a speech to text plugin built into it, and it's phenomenally accurate, as you can see. And I could have even put in the period at the end if I'd thought to say period when I finished. So I've finished the grading, and I can click submit, and now that's in the grade book. See, it tells you your. So if I go back to the grade book, that's okay.
Can I do the same in assignment?
I'm sorry?
Can I do exactly the same thing in assignment?
Exactly, yes. And a great discussion as well.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, doesn't that save some time?
I thought you were in speed grader on that essay, and I didn't see the bubble and all that up top.
Yeah, it's oops, yeah, that's the one. There's speed grader.
Yeah.
I speed grader quite a bit for grading essays. I teach English.
See, I don't.
Oh boy, I bet you do. Do you use the markup tools much?
No, I found a quicker way to do it. I paste the rubric in, you know, next to the essay, and have scripts I use for comments.
Cool.
Well, where's that markup thing?
You can't see that here because that doesn't work with an essay question. But let me go to a homework assignment and show you.
I use it in homework, but I would think I could use it in an essay question.
No, the only way that'll work is if the student uploads a Word document or a PDF or an open office document to a homework assignment. I don't think there is a test question type in Canvas called a file upload question, which is basically a homework assignment. But I don't know if you can use, I don't think you can use the markup tool with that, even if you upload a Word document, but I'm not sure of that. That's a good question. That's a good thing to find out. So I don't want to take time to do that right now, but I will check that out. But you say you've used that in the homework assignment. Yeah, and you can use that in a homework assignment only if the student has uploaded a file, and that file is one of us of a group of compatible files types. If you give the student a text box to type their answer into without having to upload a file, you can't use the markup tools in the speed grader there.
Right. That's why I just paste in the rubric and add scripts for comments.
Right. Right. That's great. Great idea.
But if there's certain classes and assignments where I have them do both, so I can make sure I can see something if the file doesn't open because it was done in whatever. And that helps too.
Yeah, that can save you some hassle.
But I have not used the markup tool.
The markup, let's take a look at those. Because
Hey,
I
real
think
quick
I heard
before
some
you
other
get out of that,
I'm sorry?
before you get out of the grade book there,
Yeah.
how do you assign zeros to all those places that have dashes when they don't submit an assignment?
Wish I had a better.
I was gonna say, is there somewhere easier? Is that it?
Really, that's so fast. I mean, you can just go down, bang, 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 and put them in.
If I have 50 assignments and I have 60 kids and I have to scroll through every single one, I was just wondering if there's an easier way to do it.
It's a pain. No, I don't know of a reliable way to have it actually count those as zeros. You can set like default grades and things like that, but it doesn't work reliably. So,
okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Yep.
Or you can tell them just to ignore the total percentage until they get finished. Right. Well, actually, no, they don't have to ignore it, but you can warn them that this doesn't take into account anything they haven't submitted that they should have.
Right. It's only taking into account what they have submitted.
What they've attempted.
Right.
And if they've attempted it and you haven't graded it yet, it gives them full credit until you grade it. So this, they need to take this percentage, this running percentage, with a grain of salt, and realize that if they haven't turned something in, their grade's actually lower than that.
Exactly. It's a little confusing for them for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the safe thing to do is, you're right, is to put in the zeros.
Yeah.
And it does go very quickly.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, now let's talk about the markup tool. That was the next thing, right?
Right.
Okay. Let me find something here that has a submission, that homework assignment that would work. I don't know what that is. Let me look at that one. I don't know that this will work, but let me just take a quick look at it. Yeah, this will work. Okay, here's a sample submission. And this one's actually got some markups in it already. So I'll just put some more in. You can see what it looks like. Like here, I've highlighted the words instructional videos, and then I've put a little comment over here to the side. That's called a highlight annotation.
Now, this was a submission in text?
This was a submission as a Word document.
Oh, okay.
Let me, the next question would be, well, what kind of document do they have to upload in order for this to work? Let me illustrate to you how you find out something about Canvas. You go to Google, you type in your question. Speed grader markup compatible files. What types of files can be previewed in Canvas and supported and annotated? And there they are.
PDF, JPEG, is JPEG there?
Word documents, PDFs.
I don't see JPEG. Boo.
No JPEGs. Nope, you can't. No. Excel spreadsheets, text files, rich text files. What is an SXC and SXW? I don't remember. PowerPoints, ODF and ODG and ODP, ODS are file types from OpenOffice, the free Office suite that students can download and use, install on their home computers, either Mac or PC. It's really a powerful Office suite that they don't have to pay for. And Canvas will read those files, will allow you to annotate those files. Of course, they have to know how to use something other than Microsoft Word in that event. But Darn if I can remember what SXC is. That's all right. Google will tell me that too. Never estimate SXC file extension. Oh, that's a spreadsheet file from OpenOffice. Star Office was the oh God, who did that? I think it was Lotus years and years ago. Made a competing Office suite to Microsoft Office, and Microsoft just drove them into the ground, competed them out of existence, or this product. So Lotus turned around and decided, how can I hurt Microsoft the worst? Well, I can give this away. So that people, it was actually a pretty decent Office suite, you know, word processor, spreadsheet, presentation package like PowerPoint and so on. It was not bad. And they just gave it away to a foundation called the Open Office Foundation, who keeps it up and keeps it compatible. And anybody who wants a full-featured Office suite can just go to openoffice.org. Apache, I guess, has taken it over now. And download OpenOffice for free and install it on their local computer. And it'll do almost anything that Microsoft Office will do. Well, Microsoft Office is still a more powerful package, but it'll do 99% of anything that a student or even a faculty member would need to do, or I would need to do. And it's free. And you don't have to kowtow to Microsoft and so on. So that's what those are. But no, JPEG, unfortunately, is not one of them.
No Google Docs?
Nope.
And does it work on the rich text that they can type their homework into?
Well, rich text format, RTF, is just a slightly enhanced text file.
Right.
It's not like a PDF or anything. It's so they can save files out of Microsoft Office, for instance, as RTF files. They're a little bit more compatible with other display. They'll display without Microsoft Office or a Microsoft Office viewer and so on. But
yeah,
there'd be no particular advantage to using RTF files that I can think of.
I guess my question is, Dave, you know, when you can choose what they can submit it in, one of them says text.
Right.
Now, if they do it in there, can I use the tools on it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If they submit a text file, not if they type text into a text box in Canvas and submit it. Then you can't use markup tools.
So that.
But if they create a TXT file offline and upload that, then yes.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, good question. So you can do highlight annotations. You can do point annotations. I'm just riffing here, but you can see, you get the little line there that identifies that this comment goes with that point in the document. You can do just free text, or you can just type free text anywhere. You can do strikeout. Actually, there's nothing wrong with this, so there's not. Like if I wanted them to use the word instructional there instead, I can just type that in. So you can strike out words and replace them or leave a comment saying why that word is inappropriate in that context. You can outline a section of text and leave a comment about that. And you can just draw on it. There's circle stuff. And then just type an annotation about that. But again, it has to be one of those compatible file types.
I have another
And you
question.
Go ahead.
When I use the highlighter, it makes it so yellow I cannot read what is under it. What do you think is going on?
That's a setting on your computer. That's the video settings on your monitor. You may have to tinker with your brightness or contrast on the monitor.
Oh, okay.
Problem there.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's questions in the chat.
All right, let's go take some of those. Let's see.
Is there a picture?
Well, let me first ask, did I answer the question about grading to everybody's satisfaction?
So I have one more grading question.
Okay.
So in multiple choice, I didn't put in any of those like all of the above or those things that can mess you up because I wanted to be able to scramble. What's their word?
Shuffle the answers. Yeah.
Shuffle the answers. Now, is that when you have to set up groups in order to shuffle answers?
No. It just automatically shuffles the answers and then and it grades them. It keeps track of where it moved correct answers to.
When a student goes to a test, somehow Canvas automatically shuffles the questions for each student?
No, it shuffles the answers within.
I mean the answers for each student.
Yes, it does.
I just click shuffle and it will shuffle the A, B, C, D for each student.
Correct. Just make sure you don't have any questions in there with answers that would be incompatible with that process.
Right. Like A and B above.
Right. Don't put that in if you shuffle the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You got it. Okay. I need to figure out how to set up test banks from existing quizzes and then moving them from course to course. All right, that's a good question in Canvas. How to set up test banks from existing quizzes. How can you make an existing quiz a test bank? And everything I've seen indicates that the only way to do that is to export those quizzes and then import them again. Let's go to a Canvas course that has some quizzes in it and go to the quizzes. I found this on the website of the State University of New York at Elmira. That's the only place I found it online. Google again. Let's say you'd like to be able to use, well, first off, let's look at our test banks. You can find your test banks by going, if you have any, by going to the quizzes tool that shows all of your quizzes in the course and clicking this little context menu up here in the upper right, the 3 vertical dots, and selecting Manage Question Banks. Those are not easy to find the first time. Okay, so here are your quizzes, or your question banks, excuse me. And some of these are obviously old quizzes. So the question becomes, how did I get that in there as test banks so that I could pull questions from those old quizzes in making new tests? Tell you the truth, I didn't know how I did it either until I read that article because they just showed up. but they don't automatically do that. You can't just make a quiz and have it show up as a question bank as well. So what you have to do in order to make that happen is you have to go to your quizzes. Actually, you don't go to quizzes, you go to settings. And you go to export course content. And you select quiz as the export that you want to do. And you can either export all quizzes or you can pick an individual quiz. This is probably not a good course to do this in, come to think of it, because I have, well, no, I can do the export and then I'll import into another course. So I'll just take these two, quiz for Camtasia and quiz for Jing and Screencast.com. And I'm going to export those from this course by clicking Create Export. That won't take very long. Just two quizzes and they're small. Okay, and this tells me that that's the new export is the one I just made. To download that export to my local hard drive, which is what I have to do, I click that link, the name of that export, and I can now save it to some place that I'll be able to find it again on my hard drive. I've got a folder for Canvas course export, so I'll open that. And this is a quiz. And I've done that very thing before. So let me save. Yeah, I'll overwrite that one. Fine. All right, so I now have that export, quiz export, on my local hard drive. Now let's say I want to put that in another course. Go back to my dashboard. Go to Sandbox for tutorials and seminars. If I want that to import that, I go to Settings, import those quizzes, and import course content. And I tell Canvas that this is a qti.zip file, which is what Canvas produces when you export quizzes. It's also, interestingly enough, what Blackboard creates when you export quizzes from Blackboard. So if you teach on Blackboard at one institution and Canvas at another, which I know some people do in our area, if you export quizzes from your Blackboard course, you can put them right into your Canvas course this way. So qti.zip. Then I choose the file that I'm going to import, and that was under Canvas course exports here, and it was this one that I just did. Yeah, 413 at 4:16 p.m. So that's the right one. So I click Open. And then I'll just let it go into the default question banks, and I'll click Import. A job starts up. It's a QTI import. Darned if I can remember what QTI stands for right offhand. It queues up, takes a little processing. It's rocking along. Now it's completed. Now, if in this course, I've got those quizzes here in this course. I've actually got multiple copies of them, come to think of it. Oh, that'll work. But now if I go to the question banks, they're in the question banks as well. So that's what you have to do. You have to import you have to export them from a course and then import them back in as a QTI file. And you can do that back into the same course. If you wanted to take some quizzes that were in a particular course shell and make them question banks in that same shell, you would just import them back into the same course shell. That would give you, you'd end up with a duplicate of those quizzes in the quiz list, and you'd have to delete the duplicates. But you would have them as test banks as well, so that you could pull questions from them later on. If you'd given a series of tests and you wanted to pull questions from those tests into a final exam, you could do that this way and reuse those questions without having to recreate them from scratch. And it's a little bit of an awkward thing. In Blackboard, this is something Blackboard did better. In Blackboard, you could just automatically pull questions from old tests. You didn't have to go through any of these hoops. In Canvas, you got to do this. If you have more questions about that, like a little more detail, send me an email and I'll send you a link to the help tutorial that I found at Elmira that will give you, allow you to go back over this. Mm-hmm.
Dave?
Yes.
If you're going to export the whole course, are you going through the same process?
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to export the entire course, you just go to Setting. And this is something you might do, especially at the end of a term, so you'd have a backup of the course. Or anytime it's a good idea to do this anytime you just make a major change in your course. You want to make sure you don't lose it accidentally. You can back it up this way. You just go to Export Course Content, and instead of Quiz, you just select Course and create export. And that takes a little longer because you're not just taking a couple of quizzes. It'll probably take quite a bit longer than this. If in a running course, these are tiny little courses, sample courses. But it tells you here, you don't have to stay here and wait for this to finish. You can just start it running and then go off and do something else within Canvas. And when the export is done, Canvas will email you and tell you that it's done. And it won't stop the process if you navigate away from this page. Then you just download that export the same way we did with the other export and save it on your hard drive. So that if some catastrophic event occurred and well, it's hard to imagine because our Canvas is hosted on everybody's Canvas is hosted on Amazon Web Services, which hosts about 1/3 of the sites on the web. Huge. And they back it up 6 ways to Sunday, so the chances of you ever actually losing your course are as near nil as you can get. Asymptotically approaches 0. But if you just want to have your own copy for your peace of mind, you can download that to your local hard drive and keep it. And that is not a bad thing to do.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. I have a question. Okay, we answered that one. When I try to email students in my class, I do not get their full names. I get nicknames. You get their preferred name. Yeah. I also don't get all the students in my class. That you should get. Is the way to get a full list of emails with the right name. Well,
my list is longer than it was, but I got to tell you, when I did it last week, I only got like 8 students, and now I've got more, but I don't think it's the whole course.
This is in Canvas now, right?
Yeah.
I would certainly not expect that.
I mean, if you go to your inbox and go to a course.
You're right. Exactly. And go to and select course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've only got one course that's got any real number of students in it. Which is down here a little ways. There it is. Oops. But if I'm sending an email, of course, I'm going to go to here and click the recipient list. And I'm going, yeah, and that
teacher.
Yeah. And then go to students. And this should list all of your students. You're not seeing all.
Yeah, but I got some of their first names. I've got some of their nicknames. And
oh, you're getting their preferred names.
Can I switch that?
We had a lot of static from student services about students not wanting to be identified by their
teacher,
by their legal names in Canvas. So this this pulls preferred names, and the students set those. We can't change that, so I'm sorry, we can't help you with that. Complain to student services would be my advice. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do to. But you are seeing all of the students here or not?
Well, I'd have to now take a head count. I know for a fact 2 weeks ago I was not. And well, now
if you go in and look and you don't see them there, will you send me an email with your information and the name, the CRN of the course? I want to go in and look and see. And if that's not showing up, we need to talk to Canvas about that.
Okay, because that definitely was the case 2 weeks ago. I'll take a look right now. Do a head count.
Okay, yeah, let me know. I really want to know if that's it. Yeah, it shouldn't have been the case 2 weeks ago either, though. Because
yeah, it most definitely was. One of my courses, I had I had 40 people enrolled and I had 10 names. 10
names. Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
And half of them were unintelligible.
But we have to catch it in order to get something done. We have to catch it in the act.
Well, I'll go do I'll do a head count and see if they match up with my official enrollment.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Because that's not something we want to see happening. We want you to be able to use this tool. I think you can be reasonably confident that if you just say all in students, that they will all get it.
Well, what it was is I was grading people's individual tests and I wanted to send them an email explaining what they got on the test. And I had John. I wasn't going to send John,
Right. So you had to go back and look in your roster and see who the heck that was. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I got it.
Okay, thanks.
So that is showing preferred names. That's fascinating. I'm going to run a test on that myself and see if it'll do that on because my test students here don't have preferred names.
Sure.
At this point, but I can go in as them. These are actual student accounts that we use for testing, and I can go in and change the preferred name. I think, yeah, I know how to do that, and I'm going to check that. Because I see your problem, and I will point once I have the data, I will point that out to the people in charge, which ain't me anymore, and point out the problem. And thanks for drawing that to my attention. I don't know if I can make anything change, but I'll at least point out the difficulty.
Sure.
Because I see your problem. Yeah.
Well, I'm doing a head count now, so I'll get back to you to see if it matches my official enrollment.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we talked about how to allow more time during a test. Okay. Yeah, we did that. Okay. Kathy had a question about the need to use a password at your Zoom site. I am going to answer this question calmly, with a total absence of colorful language. I can do that today, as opposed to Friday morning, when Zoom, without my knowledge, slapped a password onto my account. and I didn't know it was there onto my meeting. And I ended up with 20 people who couldn't get in. And we had quite an interesting time for a time on Friday morning. I had quite an interesting time. And I was unhappy because, I mean, I've been using Zoom for a long time. I like to pride myself on knowing a good deal about it. And here I was, suddenly I had a session that people couldn't access, even though I'd gone to a great deal of trouble to make sure that wouldn't happen. I'm sorry, I'm going to remain calm. How to deal with passwords in your Zoom account. You go log to zoom.us, log in as you, and go to settings. First thing you can do to either require passwords or not is to go scroll down a little ways in settings. And if you want to require passwords, you can turn these on. Require password when scheduling new meetings, require a password for instant meetings, require a password for your personal meeting room. You can tell it to embed the password in the meeting link for a one-click join so that you can just send the students a new link and the password will be embedded in it and they don't have to know the password. You can require passwords for participants joining by phones. You can set any or all of those on, and Zoom will prompt you to set a password. What happened to me, and a lot of people without warning, was that Zoom, if I go to the Meetings tab, Zoom slapped a password on my personal meeting room. And it's still there.
Yeah.
Because when Mary sent out that email today, let me show you that. I have that here somewhere. There we go. Where was Mary's email from this morning? There it is. This is the email that Mary Kingsley sent out this morning that most of you probably got most of you into this.
Right.
That's my new link. My link used to be quite a bit shorter and simpler than that. This link has that password
That's what I think.
Encoded in it. Hashed is the term. That's the password's buried in there. So that's why you were able to get in. I was afraid to do what I'm about to show you how to do because since she sent that out, if I took the password off, this link would probably not work anymore. I didn't want that to happen to you today. But I'm going to take that off, and I'll show you how you can do that. I've shown you how you can set passwords. If they put a password on your personal meeting room, which I don't want, you can go to Meetings, Meetings tab again, go to your personal meeting room here, and go to the bottom and edit this meeting. At this point, I could take this password off by unchecking that. I can also change the password, but then that link wouldn't work anymore. So I'm kind of stuck right now. But eventually I'm going to get Mary when the next time Mary sends that out, I'm going to take this off and just have her send my old link, which was this one.
Right.
Right there. Because I've sent that, she's been sending that link out for months now. And some people, when they want to get into a meeting, don't pull up the latest email. They just click on that link and they get prompted for that password. Which I didn't even know what it was on Friday morning because I had checked Zoom the day before and everything was fine. And they made that change without my knowledge overnight, because of all the bad publicity they've been getting about people bombing Zoom meetings.
So is it likely they'll do it to us too?
It's possible. They may have already done it. You better check.
Well, they didn't do it for my classes today.
Okay, your students all got in okay?
Yeah.
I don't know why they singled me out then. I don't know why that happened. But it might happen to you at any time. So
Okay.
be aware. That's the first time I've ever really been angry at Zoom, because I love the product. And I've been a big booster for Zoom for years. But that I was not enamored of that when I had all those people who couldn't get in on Friday morning. It cost us a half an hour. And I'm sure there were people who wanted to get in who had never checked their email and weren't able to get in. It just really ticked me off. So I'd check my personal meeting room under meetings. I'd check my personal meeting room before, half an hour or so before. And if you haven't conveyed a password to students and you see one set there, you can go in and edit the meeting and take it out.
Okay.
At one point, they had this locked and you couldn't change it. That was the only time I was actually in danger of what they call it, an ischemic event, a stroke at one point. So,
Dave, I have a
okay,
question.
yes.
Me too. I have a bunch of questions in the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
On the personal meeting room, if I have my personal, and then I have my URL. If I want to repeat the same schedule meetings, how do I originate that one? Because last week I sent an email and they went to a different room, and we couldn't locate each other. And I guess every time.
Right, you ended up in one room and the students ended up in another.
Yes, because I think Zoom issues you another assignment room every time you schedule, right?
If you schedule a meeting, by default, if you schedule a meeting in Zoom, it creates a random meeting ID. You can prevent it from doing that.
How?
You go to zoom.us and log in and go to settings. Okay. And you scroll down. It's just a little ways down. Use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. Turn that on.
Okay.
It's off right now. Use personal meeting when starting an instant meeting. Turn that on. If you set those two, you will always use your personal meeting room no matter how you create a Zoom meeting.
Even if I schedule a new meeting with a different URL?
No, it'll be the same URL.
Okay.
Always.
All right. Okay, that was a big boo-boo I made last time.
Yeah, because that's the one way I've seen Zoom fail, is when you end up in one room and your students end up in another.
All right. Thank you. I'll double check.
This will prevent that from happening.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Carolee, I want to find yours because you've been waiting.
Patiently for a long time.
You have. So I'm looking for it. There you are.
Which one are you on?
The question about have questions on an exam where it doesn't matter which answer you choose. Because you correctly say that if you set it to multiple answers and a student just clicks one of them, they just get
only 1/5
fraction of the credit for it. I can't think of a way to do that right offhand with a multiple choice type question.
Okay.
It has to have a correct answer. And a multiple answer question, they'd have to click them all to get full credit.
I know. Yeah.
So right offhand, I can't think of a way to do that.
Okay. Next question.
And well, you've got a second one there. how can you publish an old exam on Canvas in a format that allows students to read it but not download it?
I wonder, can I do that?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Right, I'd be able to print out my old exams. I just want them to be able to look at it.
I understand, and I like to do that too. But to put it up there in such a way that they can't download it, well, you could paste it into a Canvas page. They can't download pages. They can just read them.
Oh, really?
But there'd be nothing to stop them from copying and pasting it right out of the page and pasting it into Word.
Right.
So you couldn't stop them from doing that.
Okay. Okay.
I can't think of a way to do that either, unfortunately.
Okay.
Let's see, could you display it to them for a little? Nah, nothing you can be sure of. And indeed, when you give a test, they can do that too. They can just copy and paste it right out of Canvas and drop it on the Word or something. Once a test has been online, it's out.
Okay.
It's like the situation I had as a young faculty member when I taught at a residential women's college. And the sororities all kept test files on all the professors.
Right, right.
You knew the first thing they did when they got their paper back was take it to the Xerox machine, Xerox it and drop it in the file. So you couldn't reuse exams.
Okay.
And that's pretty much true with online exams too. You can't reuse them. You have to assume they're out.
Okay.
Okay, and here's another one, Carolee, number 3. In Zoom, can I share my screen and show a Word doc? Yes. What are the constraints on what students see and share screen? Almost none. Anything you see on your screen, when you share your screen, the students will see.
Well,
That's
so I
whether
went to Canvas and I tried to download something I had posted to show them, and they didn't see it when it switched over. They didn't see what I saw. They still saw the Canvas screen. They didn't see me open up the Word document.
Oh, do you have multiple monitors on your computer?
Nope.
Well, if anything you do on the, I'm sharing this screen right now. I do have multiple screens, but if you open a Word doc here,
They should see that. That's what I thought.
they'll see it. Yeah, I'm just going to open up something here.
Huh.
I've got it on another screen right now, but I'm going to drag it over. Yeah, you see that, right? Anything you see, they should see, with the exception of your Zoom menus. When you do things in Zoom, Zoom doesn't send that downstream, which is inconvenient at times when you're trying to teach Zoom online. But no, if you open a Word document or a PowerPoint or anything, they should see it.
Dave, I have a similar problem. What I had was like when students asked me about the homework question online, we went to the web assign, and when I click on problem, it opened up a new window. So I saw the window and trying to explain the whole thing, and then the student says they didn't see.
Wait a minute. I got an idea of what the problem might be. When you said window, that triggered. When you share your screen, when you share your screen, share everything. Don't share individual windows, or you'll run into problems like that. Share your desktop, which is the default. Thanks.
That's the answer.
Thank you for saying that. For saying the word window.
That was it.
That hit me, because that is an option in Zoom, which I never use for that very reason. Because I want to be sure that the students see whatever I see without me having to think about
totally
did I share that window or not? Okay. Great.
Wait, I have a possibly a follow-up. I was just sharing individual screens. So my PowerPoint presentation, for example, in which I had embedded a video, and my students could see the video play, but they couldn't hear it.
Right. That I know the answer.
If I had
to.
shared my desktop.
No, that's not the issue.
Right.
In the share screen, you know, when you click share, you get the little window, which I can't show you because Zoom doesn't send that. But when you get that share window where you can pick to choose share your desktop or Windows, in the lower left-hand corner of that screen, there's an option to share your computer sound. And if you don't click that, the students can see the video play but not hear it. So I just automatically check that every time I share my screen, because I don't know when, in a circumstance like this, I might want to show a video, and I want to make sure that that's shared. There's another option there that says optimize share for full screen video.
Not working.
I learned to my chagrin not to check that, because that makes your other screen shares blurry. So don't check that one unless you're going to be playing a video full screen, and even then it's not really necessary. But you do have to check the one that says share your computer sound, or your students won't be able to hear the video.
Excellent.
Okay. Let me go back up now. I think I skipped over some there.
Excellent.
Okay. We answered that one. Dave, I'm having trouble printing my test to proofread it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Canvas
me.
doesn't really allow you to do that.
Well, because I go on the desktop and go up to File, Print, and it looks like it's going to do it because it gives me the usual little thing that, you know, shows you a copy of what you're going to print, and then but it won't do it, huh?
There's one thing, because you're printing the web page. They're not actually so you're not going to get a clean copy of your test.
Okay.
But you're not actually printing the test. You're printing the whole web page.
Oh.
But let's see. I haven't actually tried that in Canvas. Let's go to a course here that has a test in it and try that. Nothing like learning something new. Go to quizzes. Let's just pick a quiz here. We'll edit it, bring it up on the screen. Actually, probably a preview would be better. Okay. That's a fairly short one. Let me try this. Control P. Well, it looks like it's going to do it. Let's see if it actually does. Let's see if it's actually going to do it. I'm going to save it as a PDF. That'll tell me if it's going to work or not. That way I don't have to run into the next room to the printer. Save it. And let me just put it somewhere where I'll find it. Quiz why. Okay. Now let me look for that. Put that in documents. There it is. Let's see if that worked. Yep.
Okay, so I could have had a printer malfunction, but the other question is, when I went to do it, it would only put like 2 questions on a page, and you know, there's a lot of questions. Is there a way to?
This time, if you notice this question, it's split between 2 pages.
Right.
Let me see if I've got a longer quiz somewhere. We can try that. Back to Canvas. Quizzes. 9 questions. That's a longer one. Preview. Now I'm in preview here.
Right.
That may have something to do with it. Okay, that's definitely going to be more than 1 page. Let's see what happens here. All right, to print in Windows is Control P. You can print any, you don't have to do file print. You can just do Control P.
Right.
Okay.
Oops,
The preview looks like it's going to print it.
Yeah, it's going to print it, but it's big.
And let's save it. Yeah, well, I know there's nothing you can do about that.
Oh, okay. That was my question. I just don't want to waste paper.
Okay, sorry. No, it's going to give you the white space and so on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. But note that if you can do that, your students can do that too.
Right.
Right. If it turns up online, it's out. You just have to accept that. Like I say, when I started off, I just had to accept that anyway, because I knew the young ladies were smarter than I was anyway. And they'd find a way to, because I had to give them back their test papers to study by. It wasn't fair.
Right, right, right.
So that's just life in the life in the fast lane in the education. Okay, Robert, question about how you can give students the right to take a test at a different time. Not have more time on the test, but to take it at a different time. That's a different prospect that I think we touched on briefly before. To do that, let me just pick a quiz here. Make sure I've got a test, and I'll edit this quiz and go to the Details tab on the quiz. Yeah, I know people have taken this. For that, you use this Assign To block. Right now, everybody has to take this test by April 30th. And the test will no longer be accessible after April 30th. So not only would they be past the due date, they wouldn't even be able to take it. But let's say I've got a student who's in the hospital, God forbid, with COVID or something, and I want to give them a chance to take this test later or earlier. I could do the same, be the same process. What I do there is take this, in this Assign To or Assign block here, I click the Add button to create a new set of dates. And I assign this to the student that I want to give a different set of dates to. By the way, when you click on this box here, you will not see all of your students here. You only see the first few of them. If you want to assign a different, say, due date to a certain student, you just type the first few letters of their name. Just 3 students not in here. There you go. And it will give you that student. And you can assign this to multiple students that way. But you can't depend on all of your students appearing when you just click into this Assign To box here. You have to type the first few letters of their name to bring them up. And you have to do that for either from memory or by having Canvas open in another window somewhere and look at your roster. But once you get the appropriate students in this list here, then you can set separate due dates, different from everybody else. Notice when I put people in this new Assign To block, this one changes from everyone to everyone else. So you just set different availability. You can make it available earlier if you like too, and later, whatever you want. And then save it. And now these two students will have access all the way up through May 5th, whereas everybody else only gets to do it through April 30th. So that's the process. And there's a tutorial for that on that on-demand video site. You just search for Canvas test and it'll pop up. Let's see. In Canvas quizzes, if I select see the correct answers, will everybody see them or just the ones that took the quiz? Only the ones that took the quiz. I think we answered that before, now that I think about it. Carolee, we did those. Okay. Yep. Done that.
Are you able to see my question?
Sir.
I'm just wondering if you were able to see my question.
Which one was that?
I had a question. It's strange because I'm looking at the chat group and I don't see some of the people who've been asking questions. I don't see them in here. So I wondered if I don't think there's more than one place to put them, right?
Some people have sent the questions to me privately,
okay,
rather than to everyone. That's why you're not seeing some.
Okay.
Well, but I'm answering them all anyway. So.
Okay. All right.
Okay, here's a legitimate question that everybody who's read a news article lately would have to have on their minds. Is Zoom safe to use? My answer would be unequivocally yes. But there is the possibility of Zoom bombing, if you're not careful, of people dropping into your course uninvited, into your meeting, excuse me, I'm not in Canvas, I'm in Zoom, dropping into your meeting uninvited and drawing nasty things on the screen or spouting nasty words or sharing their screen. And disrupting your class and maybe showing pornography or whatever on the screen is what has been happening at times. Can that happen? Yeah, if you're not careful as the host, that can happen. But there are ways you can eliminate that possibility right off much of that right off the bat. And there are things that you can do in a meeting should it happen when you're when you're otherwise presenting and you're thinking about other things. But there are ways you can shut that down almost immediately. And most of those things I can't show you in a live Zoom session because they're boxes that pop up on the screen that Zoom doesn't send downstream. Never quite understand. Well, I can understand why they don't want that showing. Usually it's a distraction, but it makes it hard for me to show you how to do that in Zoom. So what I have to do is I have to record me doing things like that, using something other than Zoom to record it, like another screencasting tool, like Screencast-O-Matic or Snagit is what I use, or Camtasia, and show you how to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to show people in that session on Wednesday about Zoom security. But just a real quick pre-see of that. So the answer to this question would be yes, Zoom is safe. Do I have to worry about the fact that it's, quote, not end-to-end encrypted, unquote? No. All that means is that Zoom could see your recording if you, I can't imagine why they would ever want to, unless maybe you were carrying out illegal activity on Zoom or something like that, and they got a subpoena from the FBI or something. That could be an issue. But for an instructional class, no, you don't have to worry about that. There's no reasonable chance of anybody breaking into your Zoom session and stealing the video by encrypting it or decrypting it. That would require capabilities on the level of the National Security Agency. And trust me, they're not interested in my meetings, and they're not interested in yours either. So you don't have to worry about that. So yes, it's safe. Can you get somebody breaking into the meeting and disrupting things? Yeah, but there are ways you can shut that down almost immediately. And I'll just give you a real précis on how to do that. First thing you do is you make sure you're the only one who can share your screen. That's something you can do in a meeting. Right next to the share screen button on your Zoom menus is a little up caret, which indicates a menu. If you open that menu, there's an advanced sharing options menu. And in that advanced sharing options, you have the right to fix it so that only you can share your screen during the meeting. So you don't have to, if you do that, you don't have to worry about somebody coming in and showing something unpleasant to your meeting. During the meeting, if you decide you want one of your participants to be able to share their screen, you can just on the fly go in and turn that off and give that person the right to share their screen for a moment, and then turn that back on when they're done. So that makes it extremely unlikely that anybody just wandering in from the outside would be able to do that. And of course, how could people access your meeting? Well, if you, almost all of these circumstances where people have had meetings broken into, they've published the meeting link, the join link, publicly, like on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. Or distributed it widely in an email. Though something to think about, if you get your meeting broken into on campus or at the district, and it's only been sent through the district distribution lists, it means whoever's doing this is a district employee. So that's happened apparently a few times. I haven't heard of anybody being caught doing it, because catching them would be very hard, but I'm quite sure that their fate would be unpleasant if they ever were caught. But they would, I'm sure the chancellor has the, like X-Man eyes. She would just look at them and fry them to a cinder. Very impressed with Constance Carroll, I am. But hopefully the chances of that happening are unfortunately remote. But as long as you make sure that your students are the only ones who have the link, then the only one who's likely to disrupt your meeting is one of your students. And we've had a couple of instances of that too. But you have the tools to identify who's doing it and then throw them out of the meeting so they can't come back in. And that you can do that very quickly, because it's easy to tell who's breaking in and doing things in your meeting from the participants box in your Zoom meeting, in your Zoom menus. So you can shut this kind of thing off almost immediately before they can really do anything or really have much of an impact. And that's what I'm going to show you in detail how to do on Wednesday. And I have everything I'm going to show you on Wednesday already on our on-demand video site. Just search for Zoom Bomb. And it's 2 short videos, doesn't take any time at all. This defusing a Zoom bombing has everything in it. This one deals specifically with an instance of somebody drawing nasty pictures over your shared screens, which can happen. And there's a setting in your share control bar that not only is there one that will prevent people from annotating, from drawing pictures over your shared screens, but there's a sneakier one that will allow people to start drawing something, but it will identify them. And so you can figure out who it is before you throw them out. And then turn them over to the honor court or whatever. So I'll be covering this on Wednesday in detail, but you can watch these videos right now. They're at sdccdolvid.org, and just search for Zoom bomb, and you can pull them up. This one's like, I don't know, 8 minutes or something like that. No, it's not even that. Hi, everyone. 6 minutes. Spring in North. That was the view outside my window a little over a week ago. I'm not in Southern California anymore. Okay, but also this one deals more specifically with people drawing nasty pictures on your screen, which they can do even if you have screen sharing turned off for participants. They can do that, but you can turn that off too, and this shows you how to turn it off. But I like the deal where you can see who's doing it, and then you turn it off. And you trap the little person. So yes, Zoom is safe. It's the best tool out there. None of the other tools that are sometimes mentioned as Zoom alternatives are perfect in any way by themselves, and almost all of them are either vastly more expensive or much less capable, or both in most cases. Microsoft Teams is just Skype recycled. I don't think Adobe even offers Adobe Connect anymore. The Cisco product WebEx is antediluvian in its capabilities. GoToMeeting is probably the nearest competitor that Zoom has, but it's horrifically expensive and much more cumbersome to use, much harder for people to get into, and so on. So Zoom is by far the best product in this space right now. It's not perfect, but in terms of security, well, it's not perfect at all, but it's certainly not perfect in terms of security. But there are things, it relies a little bit too much on the knowledge of the host to secure the meeting. And they've gotten some bad press because of that. But you, as a properly prepared host, can shut anything that might happen down almost immediately. And the chances of it being really disruptive are pretty. I've had people try that on me. And in most cases, I just deal with it without even mentioning it. Because I don't let them get to the point where they actually get to do something offensive. I get them out of there before that happens. And you can too, because it's not hard to do. And the controls are right there at your mouse tip, as it were, all the time. And I'll show that. So I'm sorry I spent some time on that, but that's currently a very important question. And Zoom is just getting an unjustified bad rap. So it's the safest tool out there, really.
So that meeting on Wednesday is going to be shorter, or can we come with other questions?
Yes, and yes. Yes to both. Always, in any of my sessions, when we get done with the primary purpose of the presentation, then I just start taking general questions, and I will stay around until I've answered them all, because that's the best part of the presentation, quite frankly. Oh, good, Mary, you're right. Yeah, good for you. And yes, there's no way to stop students from taking screenshots. So if you put your quiz on, as we've been discussing, you put your quiz on Canvas, it's out there. Count on it.
Again.
Don't use it again. Just assume. When I was teaching at the women's college, I knew that some students had access to the old exams and others didn't, who weren't in sororities. So I just made a point of printing out the last semester's exam on the stuff I was going on before giving the test in the current semester, and gave it out in class. So everybody had a copy of it. Everybody started at the same level. And then, of course, I had to write different test questions. Though often enough, these were mainly, I'm a chemist by training. Generally, these were, I just changed the numbers in the question. And it was a different answer, but the solution was the same. And it worked fine. I didn't get that didn't seem to help. As a way to do with discussions what we can do with tests, for instance, allowing a student extra time or to respond after a posting deadline. Yes, you can do the same thing you do with a test on a graded discussion. This is a graded discussion. If I bring it up, Canvas, and edit it, you have the same assign block down here, and you can add another assign block and give certain students more time to complete their posts, just like you can with a quiz or an homework assignment, and it's exactly the same process.
Find the slope.
I think that's the first time I've ever had that question. That's good. Yeah, you always have this in any graded assessment. You have this assign block where you can do that sort of thing. But it'll only show up if you click graded for a discussion, because discussions are by default not graded. You have to tell Canvas you want to assign a grade for it. I showed you how to send email through the inbox. Is it too late to ask a question? Absolutely not. It's never too late. I do not leave until all questions have been answered. If I use the speed grader to grade a discussion, will I see responses to classmates as well as postings an individual student has contributed? Good question. Here's how that works. Let me go to, yeah, this is the one. Go to grades. I have a graded discussion here. That has some posts. Some people have. I gotta find it, sorry. That's it. This is a discussion. It's hard to tell in the grade book. You just about have to click on the link to the discussion, to the name of the assessment, to go and look. And yeah, that's clearly a discussion. So I can go back to the grade book. I've already graded these, but we can look at them again. When you grade a student's participation in a particular discussion topic, you can use the speed grader just as you do with assignments or quizzes. And what you see in the display area of the speed grader is all the posts made by that student. So in this case, this was an initial reply to my question at the top of the topic. And then this apparently appears to be a reply to another student. And I think I required that in this for grading. So I can see that this student complied with my requirements for this. So I'd give them a perfect score, as I did. But I can't see the context here. But if I want to see the context, I can see the full discussion right from the speed grader by clicking on that link, and that brings up the whole thing. But now, of course, you've got to scroll through it and look for that student. But you can see those posts in context now. So it's not perfect, but it's still, this prevents you from having to leave the speed grader completely and go back out and pull up the discussion tool and look for that topic and go into it and pull it up and so on. It saves you time. So, Robert, did that answer your question? If you're still here. I'll have to assume so. Can I please give you the name of the tutorial for importing and exporting? Oh, for importing and exporting content from Canvas. I'm assuming that means. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do Canvas imports. Importing content from publishers, how to import your Blackboard course, and importing content from the Canvas Commons or Canvas Copy would do it too. Copying selected items from one Canvas course to another, or copying content, all content from one Canvas course to another. This one would show you, let's see. So I've got the stuff on how to import content. I don't think I have anything on how to export content because that was very quick and simple, but maybe I need to do that. I'll think about that. I may want to go ahead and add a tutorial for that too. That's how I decide what to put on there, is when people ask questions. Try to make sure that the next time somebody has that question, they can go here and find the answer. So I'll try to do that. Can I ask a question about Canvas training? Sure. Sean,
that's me.
Did I answer that, or is this something else?
No.
Okay.
There is an assignment that I've been working on, and it's not working here. I know that I've done it correctly. I've done it at the same time 10 times. I spoke with a colleague who already has her certification, and I showed her exactly what I did. And she said all the steps are correct. She went in and did the same thing on one of her shells, and what I was trying to do, it worked on hers. I've tried it the same thing on another computer to see if it was my computer. She suggested maybe there's something wrong with my computer. I've tried it in Explorer, I've tried it in Chrome, but the answer is not correct.
It's
not. You want me to?
It's not doing
show you what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let me kill my share. I'll kill my share
okay.
now. Oh, I have to, since I have participant sharing turned off, let me turn that back on. That's the guarding against what we talked about earlier. If, by the way, if you do allow all participants to share their screens, be absolutely certain that you also set who can start sharing when someone else is sharing to only host. Never set that to all participants, because if you do, then they can take over your screen and you can't stop them. So Don't ever set that. Okay, I've turned that loose. You can share your screen now.
All right, so let's see. Share screen.
Be a chance for you to practice that. Be sure to select your desktop and not a particular window. Glad that came up today. That hadn't come up before. Because I just always automatically do that.
I'm not seeing my desktop on here.
It's the upper left-hand option. It's the one that's automatically highlighted. Upper left corner. If you don't click on anything in that box, just hit share. You will share your desktop by default. There you go.
All right.
And I'm seeing your desktop. Okay, that's good. Okay, okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, so here is my dashboard. This is the shell that I'm working on.
Okay.
So I open that up.
All right.
I've gone through to the home page. The directions say go to the home page, go to settings. Go to navigation.
Okay, yeah, there you go, settings. All right.
And the assignment was to get things out of the, the things that the students can see. So it's supposed to look like that.
Right.
And I save it.
Right. That's correct.
And then I go to student view, and I'm not seeing those 5 things that are listed. I'm seeing only this. Like I said, I've done it 10 times. I've done it with 2 different web browsers. I've done it on 2 different
Okay,
computers.
can we go back to, can you drop out of student view for a second? Yep, it's doing exactly what you told it to. You see those little slashed eyes?
Yes.
That means the students are not going to see those. So those have been disabled. Some of those have been disabled. You can disable something without dropping it below the line. So like what's one that's supposed to be showing up that's not showing?
Assignments.
Assignments, okay. Let's go back to the settings tab again.
All right, well, hang on a second then, because I have to go into Canvas for that.
Okay.
Because that was a video that I took.
Yeah, I see.
All right, Canvas.
Power of Zoom. Oh, Wayne, I see that you're seeing all your students now. That's good. I don't know what may have happened there. And like I say, we can't really, I can't really send that to Canvas unless it's happening now. It's futile. Trust me. It's like when the car starts running smoothly when you take it to the mechanic. LMSs are known to do that too.
Okay, say, Dave, where did you want me?
Let's go. That's the course. That's the shell you were in, right? The one you're pointing
Yes.
at right now. Let's go in there and go to settings. Okay, yeah. Now, if you look here right now, before you go to settings, you can see those slashed eyes. Every one of those means that student's not going to see that. That's what that symbol means.
Okay.
So let's see if we can figure out why the students are not seeing assignments by going to settings.
All right.
And to navigation. Let's see why that slash circle is there, or slashed I is there. Okay, and to the navigation tab. A little bandwidth limitation there. It'll get there. Okay, good. Well, assignments is not in that top group.
Actually, announcements. Announcements wasn't under the screen. I apologize.
Okay.
So
okay, no problem.
And announcements here.
Click.
It's not either.
Right. Okay, click the little context menu to the right of announcements. Right. No, you were there a second ago. The announcements. You want to go back one. Just use the back button on your browser. It'll take you right back. You can get away with that in Canvas. If you did that in Blackboard, it'd drop you in the middle of nowhere. But Canvas works.
All right.
Yeah, that's the announcements has been disabled. It looks like. Click. Okay, now on the right, yeah, there, out to the right, the three little dots. Yeah, click there. Huh. That's interesting. So what? Oh, I saw the answer a second ago. Go to the left, click on announcements in the course menu.
Here?
Yeah, right there below home. And I saw the graphic, it didn't register at first. There are no announcements. Canvas will not display a tool to students that is empty. It's not that you have disabled announcements, which is what I thought initially. It's just that there are no announcements to be seen.
Okay, well,
if you put an announcement in here, the announcements tool will then appear in student view automatically. The same thing is true for modules, because you apparently have no modules. So that Canvas will not display the modules tool to students if there are no modules in the course. So that's why those are not showing up.
All right. Have you taught this course for instructors?
I have had some contact with this course. And done some grading in it, not recently, but some.
All right. Well, let me ask you: Are these trick questions?
No.
All right. The reason I'm asking,
they're certainly not intended to be. I think by that point in the course, what I'm gathering, I don't know, is I didn't have anything to do with putting this course together. But I'm gathering that they expected you to have an announcement and a module by the time they told you to do this.
All right, that's one of my issues. I'm going step by step to make sure that I don't miss anything. So in this particular case, there wasn't anything. We were not asked to create any modules yet, and so I was going to show you what their page was. Not this.
Okay. Well, no, I accept that. You don't have to show me. I'll accept that. That's a process error in the design of the course. Is all I can tell you.
All right. Well, you know, the other thing is that so many people are trying to take this course right now. It takes forever. I submitted, like, I haven't had stuff graded in over 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
I know.
My concern is this, that it appears like what they want this to be is would be these 5 things: home, announcements, syllabus, modules, and grades.
Right.
From this,
and modules and announcements were not showing up because they were empty.
Okay, so that's why I'm wondering if it's a trick question.
Oh no, it's not intended to be. I can assure you it's not intended to be a trick question.
Okay.
But it may be that someone just didn't think that through all the way when they put that question in that location.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, and I will.
Okay.
One of the things I'm going to be doing once once I'm not doing quite as many of these Zoom sessions anymore, I've agreed to go in and help them grade.
Oh, good.
I'll look at this anyway before.
Okay, Dave.
And thanks for pointing that out, because
all right.
if indeed they're telling you to make that change before you had a chance to put an announcement or a module in, then the exact result you're getting is going to be inevitably. So
okay,
I'll point that out to them.
Okay. All right, Dave, thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. This has been a great session. Let me see if I've got any other questions here. Can I get attendance for students from Zoom? Good question. Yeah, there is a way to do that, but it requires that the students register for the meeting in advance. And if you can get them to do that, I'd love to know how.
Okay, so that's
what I do on a session where it's not just an open question session like this is I ask people to put their name and email address in the chat tool right at the beginning of the meeting. So I have them all right together, and then I can just look at the chat log and see who was there.
Yeah, that works really well for me.
Works good for me too.
Okay.
And what might even be wiser is to ask the students to do that at the end of the session. So you know if they're there when you're done, not just at the beginning. Otherwise, they could just put it in the chat tool and leave. I'm sorry, a nasty, suspicious mind. Okay. Good question.
So can I ask another question, Dave?
Of course.
Okay, so remember, I'm the one who sent you an email saying that I've downloaded the zip file on the assignments. I put it on my iPad. I corrected it with a red pencil. And can I upload it back? And I was able to do that today, actually.
Excellent.
The student, yeah, so there is a place that says upload. Now, for the grades, obviously, I have to, can I put the grades then by hand in the Canvas so they can get the grades can stay there?
You mean into the grade book in Canvas?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you can always.
Or can I like?
Well, this is an assignment, right?
Well, no. If this is going to be a test, so but the thing is when.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you can't override a test grade in Canvas.
Well, it's not graded inside of Canvas yet, though. Because this is just, they uploaded this document. I gave them their points. Let's say somebody got 90%, somebody got 70%, and I uploaded it. A few of them have told me today that they got it. So I want to go, so I can't go someplace in Canvas and input that so that they see it in their grade, on their grades. For like, you know, I mean, I know that they have their grades on their test, but what I'm trying to do is to make sure that the grades stay there until the end of the semester, so they don't come bothering me, you know.
Oh yeah, they will stay there. The grades will never vanish from Canvas unless you delete them.
So in other words, can I correct the test myself and input grades into Canvas?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me be careful with that. This is a test that you have created a quiz in Canvas, and the students have taken it,
Right.
and Canvas has assigned a grade to them.
No, Canvas hasn't. I'm going to assign the grade, and,
Okay.
and I'm going to load it. I'm going to upload it. The students, actually, I can't do that in tests. When I upload, to upload a file, that's only a choice in assignment. I don't believe it's in the test.
Actually, you can do a test that way.
Oh, I
There's
can?
something called a file upload question that is
Okay.
very similar to an assignment that you can put into a test and time it and so on. But with an assignment, yes, you can always override the grade.
Okay, so, okay. And my other question was that I can't get my background to be
In Zoom?
Right, and my background, you know, I don't want it to show my room. It's not very professional, but I can't use the background.
Yeah, I'm looking at what's behind you there, and that background is a lot of texture and different and multiple colors and a lot of objects in the background. Zoom is probably not going to be able to key that out and put like an image behind you. You need a relatively featureless background that doesn't have a lot of different colors in it.
Okay, because I do look like an alien when I use.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of look like this, like the
my
the alien
eyes look green and shiny.
Alien coming out of somebody's stomach or something like that.
Okay.
Right. Well, now here's what I'm actually sitting in front.
So that's what's behind you?
Yeah.
So
and
where
that's
do
why mine works as well as it does, because I have a green screen behind me. But you don't have to have a green screen. But you do have to have a relatively featureless background without a lot of color or a lot of different colors.
Okay, cool.
So what you could do is just hang a sheet behind you.
Okay.
And that would probably work.
Okay.
Or you can get this green drape. You can get on Amazon for less than $20.
But
and you just have to have a way to hang it.
Yeah.
And for $35 or so, you can get the little stands that will hold it behind you.
So is that something on Amazon? They call it the green screen and the stand or something?
Let me show you. That's a very good question. Oops, except I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on. Caught that time. Usually I miss that. I must be, I know why that worked. I had a cup of coffee before I started this session. There's a tip. All right. Now, let me find Amazon here. What you search for is chroma key backdrop. Chroma key is the name of the technique where you replace a color with an image.
Okay.
And chroma key is CHROMAKEY backdrop. And that's, you don't want to pay $84, and you don't need that. Okay, this one doesn't actually have, even though it shows the stands, it doesn't have it. Looks like these have gotten a lot more popular lately. Oh, darn. Used to be they had one that for like $35 that you could get stand, because that's 300. That's ridiculous.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yeah. This, at that price, doesn't have the stands. I'm looking. That's not too bad.
Yeah,
Limo
that's pretty good.
Studio's okay. This has got the stands and the carry bag and the drape for $60. That thing was $35 a few days ago. Shoot. So if
So
you look,
Mhm. 59 is not
here's
bad.
here's the stand for $39.
Mhm.
So if you look through, you may be
Okay.
able to find one that's in stock, that's not too ridiculously expensive. You probably don't need the lights, because the keyer in Zoom is very tolerant of different lighting
Yes, it's
levels.
very
and
good.
so on.
Yeah.
So, but you'll need, I just try a white sheet for starts.
Okay.
And see if you can suspend it behind you, throw it over a door or something, and get it right behind you. And chances are that'll work. But the background that I'm seeing for you right now is, yeah, you're going to get some strange effects if you try that. It's just not perfect.
Okay.
If you don't have, originally it wouldn't work at all if you didn't have a green screen. But they've improved it to the point where if you just have a reasonably featureless background behind you, like a beige wall or something like that, it'll work like a charm. But I mean, I've seen much worse backgrounds than that. That's a very attractive room. I wouldn't be embarrassed about that.
Thank you. It's just, you never know what you have left behind hanging around.
Oh, yeah. It means you have to clean up before you do it.
Yes, exactly. You have to kind of be mindful of it. And yeah, this is but thank you very much, Dave, for hanging out with us and going above and beyond. Thank you.
Oh, that's what I'm here for. And
Thanks.
It's fun besides. I enjoy it. So I'm glad. Thank you all for coming. And if you have any other questions, you have my email address, right? I know all three of you do. So just send me a message. Yes.
I have. I put in the chat.
Whoops!
Question,
I miss it.
A question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. About the IPVO camera. When I get it.
What about it?
When I get it, is it pretty much plug and play?
No.
Yeah, very much. Well, the camera is plug and play. What happened to Kathy, and I don't know what's going to happen
And
to you.
it's still happening.
Oh no! Is your software not working?
No, I downloaded Visualizer for the Mac for the exact model, and all I get is, I'm sorry, Vicki, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You go ahead.
No, because what you're saying has a bearing on what I'm about to tell Vicki.
It's, and what it does is it gives me this. I turn the IPVO on. I turn the light on. I put it on over a piece of paper. I have this visualizer on, and all it does is give me this black box that has, the things that you can swirl around to.
But you don't see what the camera is displaying.
No.
Oh, that should not happen.
And this is the expensive version, and I'm going crazy here.
Uh-oh.
Well, the answer is the vast majority of the time anyway. You get the camera.
Right.
And it may or may not have a CD with it that has the software on it that you need. Kathy didn't have one. But you can download it. It's free. You can download it from their website. And I have a tutorial showing how to download it and how to use the Visualizer software. And that is on that site.
Yeah,
that's on that site. Let me show you where that is.
Okay.
I had that up here somewhere. Yeah. Just search for IPVO. It's one of the more recent videos too. You could just look at them in chronological order, but just search for IPVO. There it is, using the IPVO Visualizer software with your IPVO document camera.
Okay.
But that's not going to explain why you're just getting a black screen.
Right.
I have seen that happen with these cameras when I've had to reboot my computer a couple of times to clear that up.
Well, I've tried this 3 or 4 times, gone away from it, turned the computer off, come back.
Yeah.
I try it before every class because I would like to
Yeah, I
have
hear you. You never know if it's going to work, huh? Or it hasn't worked for you
It has
yet.
not worked.
Darn. Okay.
And then I tried it with the $100 one, and the same thing happened.
Okay, so it's something going on your Mac that's interfering with that display. And is this an iMac or a MacBook? It has a camera built in?
It's a MacBook Air.
Okay, so it's got a camera built in.
Right.
It's like that camera is interfering with the IPvo somehow.
Okay, so you know that little green thing that has the C in it that you're supposed to click on? I don't get that. You know, it's on the bottom of yours. So we're seeing you. We're not seeing your screen right now.
Oh, thank you. Now let me take care of that for starters, and let you see where that video is. Sorry about that. I knew I'd do that sooner or later. Okay, here's where the video is. Just type IPvo, and here's the tutorial.
Good. Okay.
But I'm not convinced that's not gonna, because this is the Windows version. I'm not sure it's.
See down on the bottom to the far right-hand side, there's a little gold square with a green circle with a little C in it.
Let me pull that up.
I don't get that. And isn't that part of what's going on?
Okay, there's my IPvo visualizer software. And you're talking about this?
No, I'm talking about down where it says type here to search, all the way over to the right-hand side. Didn't you say something about that little icon down there? Down, there. Where you at?
No, that's not part of my visualizer software.
Okay, so that's not part of it. So
no,
yeah.
that's my Windows taskbar.
Okay, so I have this little visualizer. It's like a black circle. It's down in my dock there, you know, for IPvo.
Right.
And I click on that, and all I get is that black square.
Like
there,
this.
I have that thing. That just popped
and
up.
it never does that.
It does that. It does just the black.
Okay, something's interfering with it. What could it be? So yeah, and there's not. Let's think. It could be this. This little icon right here allows you to select the camera that the visualizer is going to take the input from. It may be picking up your Mac's webcam instead. You want it to say IPvo. Mine is the point to view model. I forget what they call yours. But you should be able to. You don't want it to say UVC camera number.
Well, maybe
something.
That's exactly the problem.
That could be it. And it might be picking up that camera by mistake. That's the only thing I can think of. If that doesn't cure it, it's something running on your Mac that's interfering with the software, and I don't know what it might be. I'll tell you what, I will do a search for problems of that nature off their support site and see if I see anything.
Thank you. Well, I'll try this first. And if this doesn't work, I'll send you an email.
Would you let me know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check on that.
Thank you, Dave.
That's the only thing I can think of right offhand.
Since I have a Mac camera too, it's the same problem. It would be the same problem that you're having.
It doesn't usually happen because I have another camera on here too. And it's not picking it up. It's this one.
Okay,
and
so
it
then
doesn't
it goes
automatically.
back. Yeah. So Vicki, you have the same problem I have?
I have a MacBook Pro.
Uh-huh.
with obviously it has the microphone and the
Camera.
camera. So I know this is a USB, so I know I have to just I have an adapter, so I can plug a USB into my camera.
Right,
I mean,
into the computer, right?
Right.
It should.
And,
the vast majority of the time, it just works.
I just downloaded the instruction book, how to get started or whatever it's called.
Good.
So I'll go through that too, and I'll download the software and see. But I'm glad to know about the select camera, because that might be it.
That might be it.
Yeah. So I'll try that too.
And I have had other pieces. I have had other software packages interfere with this. So what you might do is when you first reboot your Mac, and don't start anything else running, and start the visualizer software first.
I remember you saying that, so I did that.
That didn't help either.
Yeah, you always said start the IPvo first, so I've been doing that, even before I go into Zoom or anything.
Well, let's hope it's just the camera.
Yeah.
Or the selection. I hope that's it.
Good.
And by the way, something cute you can do if you do, since you'll have two cameras, you'll have the one in the MacBook and the one in the is you can do picture-in-picture, and you can pick the camera you want. Let's see which one this is. It's not it. That's not it. Oh, I can't show you this because Zoom is using the other camera. But you can have, I think you can see in this little thumbnail here, you can do a picture, you can do picture-in-picture.
Right.
So they can see you and whatever the camera is seeing at the same time. It's kind of cute.
Picture-in-picture.
Yeah, that's an option in the visualizer software. It's this icon right here. But sorry. This one right here, the picture-in-picture.
Okay. Bottom second.
But of course, you've got to get it displaying the main image from the camera to start with.
Right.
I suppose there's an outside possibility that the camera itself is just bad.
Yeah, but try the other one too.
You can check that in Zoom by just not running the visualizer software, but go to your Zoom menus. And just to the right of your little camera icon is a menu, an up caret. And if you click on that, you'll get a video control menu. And Zoom will find that camera, that IPvo camera, and can treat it like a webcam. So you can select that camera from the Zoom menu, and then if it gives a picture, then you know the camera's okay at least. So that's the one way you can troubleshoot that. Then you'll know the problem is with the software and not with the camera. It'd be very
and I
unlikely.
tried two cameras, and I had the same problem with both of the cameras.
Oh, that makes it extremely. Yeah, that makes it extremely unlikely. It's something wrong with either wrong with that software, or something running on your Mac that is interfering with it.
Or just the camera. I don't have the right camera on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that's all it is.
Yeah. Okay.
That's easy to fix. Let me know how that comes out, will you?
I will, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for all your time.
Great to talk to both of you.
All right. Bye-bye.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. Okay.